Straight Talk Society. This is your host, Trevor, and I'm back with another episode of Straight Talk with Trevor.
Because the ladies from Pour Your Heart Out
no
will be over here to join the panel.
Plus, but it's a must, you gon' respect this. Plus, enough for touch the dust, you try to check this. You ain't
The MMA brothers, Bones and Zay, have pre and post shows to the MMA shows, and I am your host, Mr. Straight Talk, the man with the greatest beard on YouTube. Oh, I love throwing that in there. Real quick, I am back on Facebook. I guess they took me out of jail. I was able to connect the channel back.
Due to the increasing level of incompetence and the major lack of transparency, the Straight Talk Society will no longer maintain a presence on Facebook.
Make sure and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Man Talk Monday. This is the flagship show of the Straight Talk Society. This is the show that you're going to get all your, drama topics. This is a show that you may get your arguments. This is a show where we're going to talk about not one specific thing, but we dabble around the world of pop culture and the men just banter about it. So that's what this show is. But if this show isn't for you, and I don't know why it wouldn't be, but we also have other shows. The highly acclaimed Tape Fist Politics, Venkat, Mike, MD, and Ricardo do such a fantastic job with that. That's every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Hey, if that doesn't fancy your boat, then be sure to tune into Wrestling with Reality. Today we have the return of Straight Talk Therapy Sessions with the one and only Dr. Mia. So y'all be sure and tune into that. So tonight we have a fantastic show tonight, the Straight Talk Society. We will not go over that 2.5 hour mark. So Mike, you ain't got no shirt on, right?
I never have clothes on, bro.
But I'm saying you like right on the like crazy.
My bad. I don't like clothes, bro. Anybody that knows me, my
crazy.
Yeah, about to have me some Dr. What the f? What the heck? What the heck? I had my mouth. What the f?
Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe.
Well, nobody else can make a decision but me because I was the president. The final decision comes to the president.
You know, it's easy enough for a Monday morning quarterback to say what the coach should have done after the game's over. But when the decision is up before you, and on my desk I have a motto which says the buck stops here, the decision has to be made.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I could say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
President?
Yep.
Mr. President, I want to raise an issue that I think has been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and cast it specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you retired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And I'm the one who will not raise taxes. My opponent now says he'll raise them as a last resort or a third resort. But when a politician talks like that, you know that's one resort he'll be checking into. And my opponent won't rule out raising taxes, but I will, and the Congress will push me to raise taxes, and I'll say no. And they'll push, and I'll say no. And they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
Now, shush. Shush.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Look at you crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Stay shut your mouth. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical.
Hold it. Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by with your shut up, man.
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life to her. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I had the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
Sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this
I'd like to
investigation?
punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts.
All right, here we go. Another TFP Tuesday. This is Venkat, and we're back for another episode 18. And today's episode is the Politics of Blackness. I have, of course, the world's most dangerous political panel. First up, MD. What's going on, MD?
Peace. What's going on? What's happening?
All right. All right. Can you hear me, MD?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm muting now. I'm still driving right now. I'm just muting now.
Okay. All right. And then also on the panel, of course, we got Ricardo. Ricardo, what's up, Ricardo? Oh, Ricardo was on the panel. I guess he's off on the panel. Hold on one second. Let me put the link back in again. He was on the panel. And I'll drop the link. All right. All right. So while we wait for Ricardo, tonight's episode is episode 18, The Politics of Blackness. This is going to be an open forum, a open discussion, kind of like a town hall where it's the meeting of the minds on different topics relating to the Black community, the different dynamics within the Black community. We'll be tackling a few different topics within that subject matter. But the big one, of course, the one that's been brewing for over a year, the Godzilla of all topics, immigrants versus, local-born Black Americans, Native Black Americans. So MD has his thoughts on that dynamic, and Trevor and others have their viewpoints on that. So this is going to be an interesting, entertaining, to say the least, conversation, and look forward to that debate. Also, we're going to have the lame duck number 21, and can't wait to get everyone's views on that. So before we head on in, we have Ricardo on the panel. How you doing, Ricardo?
Hey, what's up, Venkat and MD? I'm good. I'm sorry about that. I got disconnected just in the middle of you about to speak to me. So I was like, let me just quickly exit out and come back in, but it's all good.
All right. So I don't know if Mike's gonna make an appearance. I don't know if Mike is able to come to this week. I believe he had a mishap at work, so I don't know. It'll be great to have his view on this, because I know he has a lot to say on some of these topics we're going to be talking about here tonight. But
Yeah,
for
it's
the
fine. Like I said, we can always bring this back as a reoccurring thing. Like ain't no big deal.
All right, cool. So I mean, I'm just gonna be grabbing some popcorn, and I'm just gonna be listening in, and I'll just sprinkle in here and there. But the first thing, like I found this on the internet here, and it goes with what we're saying. So it says 1 in 10 Black people living in the U.S. are immigrants. So in this article, they just go into the different amount of immigrants that come into the United States, and there's different statistics here. First of all, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to bring it up. There it is. All right. So among Black immigrants in 2019, those who were born in African countries or at least likely to have lived in the U.S. for more than 2 decades. So they're just showing a statistic here of people from Africa, the Caribbean, Central America, South America, and so forth. So the biggest thing is that we have immigrants that come into the country and they start from the bottom. In many ways, start from the bottom. Some are successful, others are not. But there is a resentment for Blacks that are born in the country, as far as benefits and so on and so forth. So I will hand it over to you guys to initiate the dialogue and the conversation on there. So we'll start with MD.
All right. So let me start off saying I don't believe in the facet that there should be. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying there shouldn't be a resentment for a person that's coming here legally into this country.
Oh, okay.
And have any benefit to uplift themselves as far as upward mobility economically. That's not like I don't hold that. Now I ain't gonna say that there isn't, because it is, but it's under a falsehood. It's under a cultism, and I don't represent that. So let me first and foremost say that. My issue is understanding the dynamics of the social order when it comes to Black Americans and Black immigrants. That's my only way I can view the dichotomy of the situation. Like, again, you would have to get like a Tariq Nasheed type person on here to facilitate that argument. I'm not going to do that because that's not my argument. If you come here as and become naturalized in this country, you have every right to partake in any of the amenities of the United States, whether it be through social class or otherwise. Let me start off by saying that.
Okay. So do you feel, just a question, I don't know the answer, but do you feel that as an immigrant coming into the country, that immigrant gets more, I guess, benefits or opportunities than a Black American that was born or lived here over a period of time?
No. Now there was a time that was true. Right now in 2024, no, I don't feel that way. Again, I'm reminiscent of going back to the conversation that me and Trevor had talking about social equity. When it comes to any benefits, when it comes to any accommodations that a low income person might get, yeah, that's equal in terms of standard. It's not equal in terms of, I guess you would say, let's just say effective. You know what I'm saying? We talk when we talk about Black Americans, we're talking about a people that has been systematically broken down to a lower form of itself. So when I antiquate accommodations and amenities that a Black American gets versus equal accommodation and amenities that an immigrant gets, monetarily or I guess you would say from an equity standpoint as far as economics, it's the same. Socially, it's not. And you can go into history and like pull examples of that. So when I talk about social equity, I'm not talking about monetary. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about effectiveness in terms of the social class in which, to use my word, racism, white supremacy perceives who's who. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. With Ricardo, what's your viewpoint here?
In some ways, I get the argument from, because I myself is a I would say quote unquote Black immigrant that immigrated to this country and became naturalized. So in a lot of ways, I hear certain sentiments echoed, basically not what MD is stating, like in terms of how he explained it just now, but from other Black Americans that are here, that are actually like born in this country, that echo the sentiment, like, hey, I don't identify myself as so and so. Like even I think it was like a couple weeks ago, you had someone like Cameron, the rapper Cameron, that was like, oh, I don't, I don't fuck with, or sorry, I'm not supposed to use the F bomb. I don't F with, you know, so and so quote unquote, so and so people, because they don't even recognize so and so. And it was like, really? So we're going back into that argument again, like which side is which and which side is what. And it's like, I don't see that argument being, I'm sure it's done like in terms of kitchen table talk. And what we call kitchen table talk is like you having a regular conversation that you wouldn't have outside of your household or your domain or your domicile. It's just within your own confinement. But you have like that kind of argument where it's like, oh, those Africans or those Jamaicans or those so and so, and it's like, really, aren't we? If you look at us, we're all Black, but I don't hear the Caucasian side or the white side or the Asian side, or or quote unquote, like the Asians mean like the Chinese or the Japanese, or saying, oh, I'm more whiter than you, or I'm more Chinese than you, or I'm more brown or more Indian than you, or you know what I mean? Like, we only hear it more so quote unquote on our community side, which is so bizarre to me, because it's like, why are we not more cohesive? I just don't understand this whole mentality of, okay, so I'm supposed to be following quote unquote the order of how things are being done, and you don't deserve this, but then I deserve it more. It's like we're all cohesively the same people in terms of how we're being viewed. And the more we do this, more, I'm more over here and you're not supposed to be like here yet, and you have to pay your dues. And it's the more the other side is now climbing the social ladder and doing other things and finding ways to create a more divisive, what's the word I'm looking for? A more divisive like sentiment towards our side, and they're just wheeling and watching and eating popcorn while we're just like doing more and more quote unquote nonsense to further ourselves more behind. And the more we do it, the more I'm noticing that we're getting further and further back, and there's other groups accelerating more so than our community is. And it's now, and if you don't believe me, you can look at the stats, because it's now showing that. So I think there's I've always echoed the sentiment. Why is it that we're not cohesive enough? We should be more cohesive in terms of our community, but there's so much distraction these days. There's so much nonsense, and it's like, okay, so how do you do a social order thing? How do you then say it? Because if you're born here, I'm sure you have your sentiments in terms of what you think is allotted to you, whereas somebody who's coming in, who's trying to gear up socially, will have to like pay their dues, if that makes sense. It makes sense. Kind of like if you started a new job, I wouldn't expect to be like, okay, I'm coming in and everything is entitled to me. No, baby, you got to work your way up, and then you can say, okay, I pay my dues, and then everything else will fall in line. So I get the argument, but it's like, where do we start that conversation in our community?
Okay, and good deal, Ricardo. And now we have Mr. Straight Talk on the panel. So what's your viewpoint here, Trevor?
Oh yeah, can you guys hear me? First of all,
Loud and clear.
All right. So before I touch on to this, shout out to the panel. MD, look in the back chat. Is that really Gideon Prime?
Hold on. Let me check. Like I said, I'm driving, so hold on. Let me check.
It's like a scale, like a legal scale.
That's his logo, but I don't know for sure because I've been, I'll address it in a little bit. But
in the private chat, he's saying yeah.
Yeah, because I don't.
I can't. I don't know for sure. When I'm about to get ready to stop here in about 10 minutes. So.
Well, if that Gideon, if you turn your camera on, we could verify you.
Yeah, if not, you got to hold tight till MD stops Gideon because I can't.
He's saying, MD, it's me, no cam. Oh, this sounds like some Nigerian kind of con that's going on here. The camera never works.
I'll check in a second.
Yeah, MD will check. So, all right, first of all, peace to the Straight Talk Society. I do apologize that we had to postpone Man Talk Monday yesterday. Yeah. I assure you, an hour before I came on the air, I got a phone call that one of my co-hosts, got into a little situation, and if he wants to, he'll say what happened on Monday. That's the only reason the show was canceled, regardless of what the trolls may think, that they made me cancel my Man Talk Monday show. Have you lost your mind? Secondly, speaking of the trolls, they say they're going to come on this show tonight, which is fine. I will let you on the panel, but you got to turn your camera on and show the people that you aren't a coward. So there you go with that. So tonight's show, I listened to what you guys said, and MD, so you don't think, because the contention with me and MD was always the social status between immigrants and Black Americans.
Sound like somebody shooting.
Nah, you know what happened? Because I moved my I rearranged my setup, so I moved my speakers and my wires are probably frying. You don't believe the social. I came in towards the end, but I heard you saying something to the effect of you used to believe that there was a social difference and now you don't.
No. What I was saying is, as far as how we view economics today in 2024, I don't look at a stark difference between Black immigrants and Black Americans economically. Socially, I do.
Okay.
Economically, I don't.
And you don't believe that you guys are further behind the starting line than we are?
Yeah. I said that. I said social equity. Yeah.
Okay, so you still believe it. I just need to know what I'm
wait, Trevor, you just said Black Americans are further behind the immigrants.
Yes, that's why I told you. I just need to build them up. I just need to see.
Hey, do what you do, cause when I stop, I'm turning up. So do what you do. I'm riding right now.
He said
I just need to build all the points that I want to make sure that he still is on that craziness that he's on. That's all I want to say, and I'll defer because I think we're gonna have a fantastic conversation. But I feed off of what other people say, so I need to hear MD. I'm here for MD because I think me and Ricardo are gonna agree 90% of what we say. So shout out to Eddie Israel in the building. I just I'm coming straight after MD. I told y'all I'm shooting from the hip tonight.
But again, let me reiterate. Let me let me reiterate though. I'm not talking from an economic standpoint. It's not what I'm talking about. So if you try to equate economics to it, I'm a just sideswipe it because that's not what I'm referring to.
Economics, including education,
or economics versus like what do you mean? You have to elaborate the economics here.
He means money. Money.
I'm saying okay. Let me say what I said in the beginning, right? Maybe you didn't hear like fully what I said in the beginning. I said in 2024, as it stands today, when it comes to economics, we have the same equal rights to garner a living for ourselves, just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm not equating that to anything. What I'm saying is it's an understanding that from a social perception of, I guess you would say, second class citizenship, if you want to use that term, we are lower on the totem pole based on our upbringing in this country. I mean, that's just fact. And you know, I got evidence that proves it. Now, what was that, Ricardo? Like last week, a couple of weeks ago, I put a reference in the group chat. I said, "Hey, look, this is some of my makeup and where I'm coming from." Right? It gave a plethora of examples showing what I just said. So you know, it ain't like I'm just talking outside of my neck. I'm not. You know, it's. Go ahead.
Are you talking about the video where you picked the isolated incident of?
No, it's not a video.
Okay.
No, it's not a video. No.
Okay.
No, it's actually a dissertation.
It's like a reading point, bulletin points.
Right. It's a dissertation basically. Giving the social. I don't want to say hierarchy because that'll be the wrong word, but giving the social differences from a historical aspect between Caribbeans and Black Americans. Historically.
But it's like, let me ask MD, because did you actually saw what Cameron had said last week? Not to really change the conversation, but because I feel like his sentiments echoes what I've been hearing mostly from people who are actually born here, like actual, Black Americans that are born here. Do you feel like Black Americans here don't identify or equate themselves with quote unquote like more the Black immigrants that are coming into the country, or actual Black descendants that are from other countries? Do you feel like there's I wouldn't say discourse, but there's like a disconnect between the two sides? Because
are you saying that there's a disconnect between diasporan Africans and native Africans? Is that what you're trying to say?
Or like quote unquote people that are born here? Because I don't know, like Africans that are from like the actual continent Africa. I don't know where this argument came from.
Hey, real quick, Ricardo, Venkat, throw up the overlay. Because I'm a know Gideon's voice. I just want to hear his voice. Just throw up an overlay.
Yeah, I will too. Yeah.
Throw up an overlay.
Long as we keep it in context with the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just throw up an overlay, Venkat. So I want to make sure that this is Gideon. What's up, Gideon?
Yo, was good.
Okay, that's him. All right, cool.
We had to.
Hey, my bad, Apex. Like I said, I can't see like what's going on right now. So.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, all right, go ahead, Ricardo. I ain't mean to cut you off.
What I was saying, like,
go ahead.
Do you feel like there's a disconnect between Black Americans that are born here compared to that picture of DeSantis kills me every single time. And
Native Africans.
Native Africans that are born like continent. Do you feel there's a disconnect, and why is there a disconnect? First of all,
I believe these people talking ignorance and they just don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I'm saying that that's not the majority. And in fact, you can use that same argument with diasporan Africans that view Native Africans that way. So yeah, I mean, but that's in ignorance though. You know what I mean?
MD, do you consider yourself African?
I mean, that's where it all started in terms of a starting point with the transatlantic slave trade. Yeah.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
You ain't take that as a yes?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, we
hey,
need to hear definitive.
Yes. So all right. So let me repeat. Yes.
yeah. So do you consider? So do you think that my people? Do you think that my people came from the continent of Africa also?
Yes.
So and we just made a stop in the West Indies, correct?
Correct.
So why can't we share the same? Why can't we be black together then? We both came from the same land.
Because your cultivation of your culture wasn't under blackness. It just wasn't.
But
Mine
why
was.
wasn't it under blackness though, MD? Like, explain to me how it's not blackness.
Listen, the social order of black and white comes from the Americas. That's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's impossible.
Okay, I got
it's
it.
Impossible.
Hey, I'm cooking right now. I will be right back. I just gotta go.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm cooking salmon before you say something about some curry goat or something. I know that's what you're ready to say.
Yeah. Take your oxtails off a rolling board, man. Stop.
No, listen. So your whole, what you telling me though is your whole ideology, your favorite word, your whole ideology is blackness is based on some Europeans gave you. Is that what?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Okay,
Well,
I ain't got no shame of saying that.
Oh, okay. So that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to figure out where you got the.
I ain't got no shame. Do you think that's supposed to like be disparaging? It's not.
No, but we can't. But why? So why are we not using our own template instead of using from the quote unquote? And you're gonna hear me say quote unquote the slave masters or the colonizers' way of thinking. Like, I don't understand why we still continuously give them credit for stuff because they feel like
again. So okay. Let's use your point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
After emancipation, were we supposed to like make up something new?
Okay, so after emancipation,
I know that's an honest question.
Right, it's a good question. So after emancipation, say we got the freedom and whatnot, because I don't know if we were entirely free at that point, because they were still doing shenanigans. Whether or not we want to accept the fact that they said, "Oh, but you're free," they still found ways to say, "Okay, well, you're technically still not free because we're gonna kidnap some of your children and then claim that, hey, well, you're gonna have to work for me for like a couple of years back because they come up with some kind of law, and then they're like, oh, they're stupid enough to follow the law, so they're gonna fall in line. So that's how, we'll just work the system with them. So in a way, we should have. I mean, I don't know if it would have made a difference if we would have like found other. That's a tough one though. That's a tough one, MD, because in a sense, you didn't have to use their template, but you could have used your own if you knew cohesively how to figure out a way to bypass their nonsense or the chicanery that they use during that time frame.
Brainwash. Okay, all right. So basically, what you just said was you can't answer that question.
No, I didn't say that.
We should have came.
I
so,
said.
So okay, so hear me out. So what I'm saying is, I disagree with the perspective that you're coming with, saying that we're using the template. No, we're not using a template.
So
we cultivated a culture based off of our disenfranchisement, our demeaning, our disparaging. That's what we did, because that's what we were. And you can't, it's nothing to get around. We created a whole way of life based off of our oppression.
Mm.
So what I'm telling you is, I take that as a badge of honor. And to your point of coming up with something new and going off of the white man, well, you can use that same argument with a political standing of who we are, which I say freedmen. Freedmen is not associated with black nor white. It's associated with the status of being free through emancipation of enslaved people. That's something you just can't tie yourself to. So what I'm saying is, all you got to do is look at my avatar. I got the word black, and it's crossed out in red, and my name is under it. Because politically, I say throw the word in the trash can. But culturally, I understand that my people cultivated a system of a system of being through blackness, which is the social order that yes, the white man put us in. Not the Jamaican, not the Virgin Islander, not any of those people, not the black South Americans, none of those. None of those came under that moniker.
I agree.
Go wait, hold on. Go so again though, because I just want to make sure. I just got back about a minute ago. MD's whole ideology of blackness is tied to what the oppressor labeled it. That's why I just want to know.
If there's nothing else that I could tie it to. Tell me what I should tie it to. As a matter of fact, through what the oppressor labeled us, we were able to create other terms of endearment associated with black, like people of soul.
Yeah,
wow.
Like black power.
MD, come on, man.
MD, but what about?
What do you mean? Come on, you can't understand it, Trevor, because you don't live it. It's impossible for you to live it.
But MD, weren't we greatness before they plucked us from the motherland itself and then brought us over here to be oppressed?
Our timeline started when we hit the shores of the eastern United States. Our timeline started.
But
Ricardo, you got to realize his whole ideology is tied into what the Europeans say. So he's not going to consider us black being in Africa. We just won't.
But that argument though, it will be a mute point, MD, because if you ask people that are like not the Americans that are black Americans here outside of this country would then tell you, but what about the greatness that we were before cultivating, being brought here into the shores, the eastern shores of the United States? We were great before then. So it's
not according to MD.
Not according to me, because name the tribe that you're talking about.
Wait, you chipped up. Repeat that one more time for me. You said
I said yes, I agree. I won't go off for that, because name the tribe that you're associating that with.
So did we have to be a tribe? What about the Moors? What about
yes, we do have to be a tribe, because that's how Africans identify themselves.
What about
not as black people?
I cannot believe what I'm hearing. I can believe it.
So MD, you were saying that the immigrants haven't gone through the civil rights movement and stuff that blacks in America were going through, and slavery that was in America. But people in the Caribbean were black and they were enslaved by Spaniards. So wouldn't they have like a same type of relatable struggle to relate to?
Again, you keep associating the harms that we went through as a diaspora with I'm talking about the self-identification. What is the self-identification? I'm not describing it based off of harm.
One thing.
Go ahead.
Why don't Jamaicans call themselves black first? They say, we're black, but they identify as Jamaicans, even though they came from the same general continent, right? They were shipped in the transatlantic slave trade, if I recall correctly, right? Why don't Jamaicans say, hey, I'm black?
But who told the Jamaicans don't say they're black?
No, I'm talking about when you ask a Jamaican, what is he? What are they going to say?
He talking about the 2 or 3 that he knows. Let's just put it what it is.
Oh no, I'm Jamaican.
Hey, Apex. What are you?
I'm Jamaican.
And so am I. But I've never heard somebody asked me. I told them I'm going to tell them straight up I'm black. I've never heard the context of I'm Jamaican. I get what you're saying. Jamaicans will say I'm Jamaican because that's how they identify themselves. And
now we came from the same area, so I believe that we had different brainwashing when we arrived here, and when the Caribbean slaves arrived wherever they was destined to go, according to the itinerary that they had them follow, they had different conditioning. So they was like, yo, look, okay, whatever that happened over there, they were saying, yo, I'm Jamaican.
So Apex,
when we came over here, we were like, oh, I'm black. Because
Apex,
I guess you didn't want to identify.
You don't consider, I didn't know you were Jamaican, by the way, but you don't consider yourself black. I just want to know who I'm talking to. And the reason I ask that is because you say, oh, if you ask a Jamaican what they are, they'll say they're Jamaican. If you ask any American, hey, what are you? He ain't gonna say I'm black. He'll be going, I'm an American.
No, they're gonna say I'm black.
You know that's wrong. You know that's wrong, Trevor.
Come on.
Yeah, they would say they're black, Trevor.
They would say they're black. So why do we say we're black and they say they're Jamaican? That is your answer.
But I'm gonna push back on that. They wouldn't say they're black. They will say they're African American, though. That's why here. No,
a lot of people don't like the term African American.
Yeah, that's a modern term, and a lot of Black Americans resent that term.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. In the 90s, it used to be I'm African American. That's what I heard when I came to North America. Was like I'm African American.
That was that was a politically correct answer. The real answer, what they usually say, and when it gets to the nitty gritty, I'm black.
Yeah, Jesse Jackson got that African American thing going.
Yeah, it was like a fad.
Yeah, because the reason he did it because they looked at black as a disparaging term politically, which I agree. Yeah. Politically, it is a disparaging term, but that don't take away from my.
Go ahead, because I go ahead, because
I agree with that.
Right. And again, I'm not, but I'll never take away. Yes, it's a disparaging term, but I'll never take away the culture that was rooted out of the term. I'll never do that. I would be disrespecting my ancestors if I did that. I'll never do that.
But we also was hoodwinked over here. We was hoodwinked.
Let me ask you this. So in your terms, then, so the ideology of black was presented to you by the people that brought your ancestors to this land.
Yeah,
follow where I'm going. Was that a good thing when they brought you to the land?
In this country.
Oh man, that's
well again.
Just because
let me give you the origin so you can have better context to ask the question.
Oh no,
and Mike knows that. Well, you got to have an understanding. So and Mike understands this because Mike originally brought this up to me when I initially talked to Mike for the first time, and I was surprised that he knew it. In the 1600s. There were black people that were here working as indentured service. There was no slavery in America at that time. Hell, there was no America at that time. Under Bacon's Rebellion, that's when the classification system happened. They said, okay, look, what we're going to do is we're going to classify these people as black. And they based it off the etymology of black, which means death, soullessness, not having a soul. Versus white, angelic, blah blah. That's what they based the original term off of.
Well, you could go before the 1600s when Columbus came here and he brought the slaves with him. They wrote that they saw people that looked just like them. So I'm not saying.
Did they say black? Did they say black?
Yes.
Come on, Trevor.
They wrote in there. Hey, if there's an Israelite out in the thing, please come, Eddie. Please come up here and confirm this for me.
Israelite ain't gonna pull no Bible source. We talk about Bible sources.
They absolutely said black. So that's besides the point. What you trying to? Is that Eddie? Oh no, that's Ricardo. If that's beside the point, what you're trying to say, what I'm saying is you're basing your whole ideology off of what the all bad oppressor gave you. And then you talk about you're honoring your ancestors. How? You're on is okay.
I'm honoring my ancestors by go ahead.
And I'm a land my plane, man. But y'all the one inviting me up here. Is if would you have? Well, I probably know the answer to this because we talked about this. If I called you a nigger, hard R, would you have a problem Because it's the same connotation as being black, according to you, because you got they identified you as black. The white people that brought you over here, them same white people call you nigger. So what's the difference?
The difference is the connotation and the context is being used. Now, what do you look like as a now I'm gonna say self-identified, just because I don't want to be disrespectful. As a self-identified black person, what does it look like for you to call me Nigger?
Oh, we censoring that word? We censoring
that? I'm not, yeah, because I don't want it to
politically
be
correct. It's not politically correct.
So I'm saying, so in the context, that wouldn't even make sense. I'll also say this though. I didn't grow up around multinational. I didn't have a multinational community. I grew up in at a time in the 90s where there wasn't any other black diasporas around. So for me, it was a culture shock when I started hearing other diasporans amalgamating to, I guess you would say, the perceived black culture. I wasn't used to that. Hell, even further with people like in some of these major cities like Miami, LA, New York, that are around a plethora of multinationals amalgamating to the black culture, and even to the point where they're using Nigga when I wouldn't accept that at all. So again, it's different based on the culture. That's what you have to understand.
MD, you got an avatar that says no black though. I mean,
I just explained why. I just explained why politically it's not the move, because per the Constitution you can't do anything based off race. So again, I'm not an advocate for the term. I understand where the term comes from when it comes to the cultivation of my people. That's all I'm saying.
And historically too.
Exactly.
There's no like suitable name, because African American people frown on that, black people frown on that, white people, they got Caucasian. It doesn't offend nobody. It's just the normal name. So black people, for lack of better terms, doesn't even have a suitable name.
But even Caucasian is pseudo. That's a pseudo term, because not all white people are Caucasian.
Yep, there you go.
But what name would be suitable? Because you can't say mulatto, because that's a Hispanic name that's still derogatory. So what name would be more suitable to use? Because black, like I said, African American was one. Then they were like, oh no, it's not like we're from Africa, or that modern day people are not from. So they switched it to now I'm black. So then now black it might not be the most correct term or political term to use. So which term? Because you can't use mulatto, because that was negative. What do we call ourselves if we're cohesive as one entire, if we're going to go by the hegemony of race? What do we call ourselves in this community going forward if black is not a great term to use?
Well, if you're Busta Rhymes, you're saying God.
Who said that we have to identify ourselves through the homogeneous race? Who said that?
No,
and don't say we, Ricardo, because they don't consider us part of them. Don't say we.
Well, I guess we would have to go with just American.
No, that's not true.
Well, where else you gonna go by?
People, I'm saying I am American, but that's a nationality. You can't identify.
No identity. They got no identity. Like for real. Like,
see, there you go. See, there you go.
You got no identity.
So
again, here we go.
So let me say this: where is the nation of black? Where is that on the globe?
There isn't one.
Those people aren't on YouTube.
But black is. I'm not claiming the nation of black.
Yeah, see, it's color coding.
I'm claiming the culture of black.
The culture, okay, that's fine, and everything. But how much sense is that?
But you can't get things done based off of culture. You get things done in this country based off of status. My status since emancipation has been freedman. Your status, Trevor, Ricardo, Venkat, Gideon, your official status in this country is naturalized American citizen. Naturalization is the status. Freedman is my status.
So
to
where
base
has
it off the
freedom
stat.
gotten you as a collective?
That's why I'm advocating for it right now.
Yeah, let's just get
No,
let's
but
just
see,
get
this is
down
why
to
we're
the
so
brass
messed up. I think this is one of the main reasons, secretly, why we're so messed up, because we can't even identify. So we can't even begin, like we can't even start the math problem. That's like you're trying to solve a math problem and you don't got a paper and pencil. So it's like I think this is one of the secrets of our condition. Like Jamaicans, they come over here, they know what to do. Because you know what? I'm Jamaica. I'm Jamaican from Jamaica. You know where I'm from. You know where it is. I have family. I have roots. And I have some type of representation in the United Nations.
But it's not
Where
only
in the heck is black represented in the United Nations?
But to add to the point, though, there's a resentment when it comes to the immigrants, the black immigrants that come like over to the United States side. Where I'm going to give you a prime example. A relative of mine won the Scripps Howard B Spelling Bee championship in 1998, Jodianne Maxwell. I'll never forget this whole thing. When she won, it was like not the Jamaican media, the American media jumped on, and it was like a whole thing. She's the first black spelling bee champion winner to ever win, and then a whole collective amount of people from the other side, which were the regular black Americans. She wasn't the first black, so they switched it to she was the first outsider to win. After she won, would you believe the year after, the Scripps R&B changed the whole format because they were like, how dare people from outside of this country come in and win a championship that is ours and then go off in the sunset. It's not going to be like that. So from ever since then, you notice there was never people who were from like the Caribbean or from other countries were not allowed to enter the Scripps R&B. But the ironic part to that now is when you look at the dynamic of people or winners since Jodianne won in 1998 have been Indian or I would say immigrant Indian kids that are naturalized or their parents came over and naturalized, and they've been winning consecutively every year after that. So my question now is, what if it was such a big problem when it came to like people come like the outside, which we'll call like the black, because she was, well, I would say she was the first outside black person to win the Scripps Howard B. As for whether or not there was an actual, I'm sure there was probably one or two people that were predecessors to her. But after that, the irony was that it was such a big old hoopla. But then the ironic part to it was that the immigrants that weren't black, which were the Indians, started dominating the entire competition. And now you have people complaining like, oh, but there's too much Indians winning. But they're Americans, aren't they? So they're actually. So then it's like you can never win, because like once one side wins, it's like a resentment. Oh, that side, the Jamaican side, they don't so and so. And so it's like, where does this come from? Because again, Gideon brings up a point. What do we identify ourselves with? Because it seems the oppressor is winning here. We can't get anywhere because it's like a crab in the bucket mentality that we have. One side thinks they're accelerating or climbing the social ladder or climbing whatever. And it's like looked at as like, oh, where does he think he's going? Like, how dare he comes here and he thinks he's going to climb higher than I do. That's not going to work. He's not entitled to what I have. No, like that it's like a never-ending cycle that doesn't seem to be.
You keep making that argument though, Ricardo, and I'm telling you that's not the majority of Black American thought. It's just not.
MD, let me say this real quick because I gotta go check my pot. Y'all make sure and please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. I see the eyeballs are in here. Please hit that like button. Let everybody know that we are having a fantastic, much needed conversation over here on the Straight Talk Society. Tape Fist Politics is the best tape political show on YouTube. I dare you to find me something better. So before I go though, and I'm gonna be listening while I'm in the kitchen, but Ricardo, you talk about your cousin that was a spelling bee champion and how they was like, oh no, they're not. You had a subsector that was like, oh no, they're not black. They're not black. Remember, we're talking about the same group of people that embrace Bill Clinton as being the first black president. They're the ones that love to call. They're the ones that love to call Joe Biden Uncle Joe. They're the one they love to embrace everything that's not them, but the people that look like them. Oh, we got a problem with you.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I agree.
That's a good point.
I agree.
That's a good point.
The question is, why is that though? Because it's like we're not getting anywhere. We're still stuck in the same mentality. We're not moving. That's the issue that when you.
But now, hey, let me say this. Like, look at the Bible. Look at Paul. Paul in the Bible, he pretty much said he's a Roman Jew, right? Because remember, he was a Jew, but he has citizenship in Rome, right? So I guess you go back to African American, even though African's a continent, you know what I'm saying? I guess that might be the best way to actually.
It's not. There's no identity. There's no identity in African. There's many cultures, many tribes, many ways of life, many beings in social order in Africa. It's not. That's not. It don't work.
Because Paul said he was a Roman Jew. Now Rome was an empire. So what part of Rome was he in? What part of Rome did he represent? He just named the empire, and then he said Jew. The Jew, that's the tribe.
He was a citizen of Rome.
Yeah. So it's like
that's. I mean, that's different.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a nationality.
Yeah.
Being African is not a nationality.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I know it's a continent.
It's just not. My nationality is American.
Yep.
That's my nationality.
But we've been brainwashed for so long. It's like, what do you do?
Again, I'm not basing my identity off nationality. I'm not basing my identity on race. I'm basing my identity on my culture. That's just what it is, despite where it comes from and how it manifests. There's nothing I can do about that.
So you're Black American. So basically, your culture.
I mean, you can use that term, yeah, Black American. Like I said again, culturally.
So like you culturally, you're Black, and your nationality.
My nationality is America.
And I think that might be the best.
I have no link to Africa at all. No link. But like I said, that's just where I wound up being. I wound up being dropped off in the melting pot, the experiment called the United States of America. Nothing I can do about that.
But MD, what if you did a DNA test and it says that you're so and so, quote unquote, come from so?
Is that DNA test gonna say I come from the tribe of Mbuku? Because if it don't pinpoint that, you're just talking. Again, the country still, even with the countries, several dozen tribes within each country. That's not telling me my identity at all.
This is true. You know, and this is I think this is that's a good discussion and a good angle to take on it. You know.
So in terms of,
I mean, y'all can make that same argument as Caribbeans.
Right. So let's just self-identify ourselves as the chocolate the chocolate dynasty. So if we can't come up with a name for if we can't use Black. So in terms of that, what would you then classify as culture then? Because you said that you don't identify as whatchamacallit, but what would be the cultural aspect to it? Because that's where
Black. It's as simple as that. Black.
So, but then you said the word is political at this point. It's now
no. Let me clarify. Politically, the term is mute. Politically, you can't do anything with the term Black. Politically, the reason I know this because it says it in the Constitution. You can't discriminate based off race, gender, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, people still do it.
You can't have you can't have policy based off of race. People that argue that, I can show you where that's not the case. So I can't advocate politically based on my race. I can advocate politically based on my status here in America.
Yeah,
this is the Enlightenment period.
But MD, they can get around that because certain races have certain economic situations. So if you gear your policies towards those scenarios, you can exploit a race of people without saying specifically that race of people.
Right. I'm glad you said that, Venkat. That's why I advocate for freedmen. that is specific to a group of people racially that are black that were emancipated here in the United States. Great point, Venkat. Great point.
But how would you go about doing that, though, MD? Like, how would that work in our enlightened period that we're in now? So, including everybody into the mix of the conversation, how would that work from your perspective?
You have to have the right legislative leadership in place. Give an example what they just did in California with the reparations task force. That was a highly debated issue that they dealt with. What we're talking about right now. And it was determined that in order for this to be constitutionally effective and not go through strict scrutiny through the Supreme Court, we have to come up with a way to identify these people without using race.
But how
the solution ultimately became freedmen. They based it off the historical record that caused us freedmen during emancipation through the Freedmen's Bureau 1966, 1967. It's as simple as that.
So anybody's name that or family wise that's connected to that. So how would that, is it like a legislative piece of paper that was signed when you were like under the slave masters?
That was during Reconstruction.
Which was a horrible time period where it was actually kind of worse than slavery.
It was. I agree.
But how do most people get their, like, how, like, I'm trying to see in the context, how would they have known their last surnames or so forth? So if you were in Fulton County, like most people that
we took on the surnames of our slave masters.
Correct. So I'm trying to get a point here. So how would that work? Wouldn't their descendants from the slave master side take credit or get the allotment as opposed to the actual people that were?
You finagling, Ricardo. I'm finagling then. No, the slave master, just because of the surname, they would not be allocated any type of resource. The free man, I wish I could pull that up right now. The Freedmen's Bureau Act was a very specific bill.
I know I got what you're saying, MD, but I'm saying that you see that's the workaround that will happen with the unscrupulous side of people that are thinking like how I brought up that scenario. Why would I then give you credit for something when you're using my last name from my family side, from my ancestors? Well, aren't I connected to it? No, you wouldn't be, because I was technically the slave masters, blah blah blah. So then that's why I was asking you, how would that work? Legislative wise, how would they have known the site? Like how, like the name is what connects you to the whole legislation. So would everyone have signed on with their last names? Like, would it be Sir Simon Peter, or like how does that work now? The modern day
right. So basically, what you're saying is how would we know who's who in terms? Yeah, I get what you're saying. The way you do. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry, MD. This is the way. I think this is the biblical answer to this. I forgot the actual scripture, but I know the scripture. I forgot the location of it, but it says that in the Bible, talking about us being a holy priesthood, a royal nation. So we're supposed to be named after Christ. And when you become a Christian, a born again Christian, you become a new creature, and you have a king, and your king is Jesus, and your nationality, your nationality is in Christ.
Oh, go ahead, finish up. So let me ask you a question, AP.
Yeah.
So how is using that gonna get me my reparation?
That was meant for MD to say.
Well, actually, if you would have watched those videos about that guy,
I did. You know my position on that, Apex. You know my
David
position.
Straight. And how the Constitution is extreme, much more Bible than we think, and there's a difference between the law and what's legal, and how they get us by us. They get us with legal tricks, and they get us out of the law, and they get us into legalities, and so it's so deep. It's so deep. I mean, I would challenge Trev when he get back. I would dare him to actually get into that, because that's one of the deepest things that I've seen out here.
Again, Apex, you know my position on that. I look at that as a bunch of malarkey when it comes to the Constitution.
So you thought that all of the stats, all of the stuff that he was bringing up in that was all malarkey?
Yeah, when it comes to the Constitution, yeah. I'm not tripping on the biblical aspect, but when it comes to the Constitution, it's malarkey.
They're not
Well,
going to give you.
This guy's name is David Strait, and it's very.
I seen all the videos that you sent me. I seen all of them.
It was very. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like right now, like that's how we. So when you say I'm a Christian, and then you say that you're born again,
but you can't base that off a historical record though. We're talking about historical record.
Well, actually,
Ricardo asked us a question. Is it possible that white people will be able to seek in? Basically, is what he was saying.
Well, put it like this: if you say that God is your God is your creator, that
ain't gonna get me no money. That ain't gonna get me no money, Apex. It's not. It's not gonna get me no money.
Well,
I want my money. I get saved later on. I want my money.
Because that's actually like right now, they don't right now legally, they won't even call you a man. They'll call you they'll call you a person. They'll call you a citizen. When you look up citizen, you know what that really means? That means that
I don't believe any of that man said.
You don't believe none of that?
No.
I mean, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
No.
I tend to believe that.
So again, like I was saying, going back to Ricardo's question, he's saying, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Ricardo. You saying that there might be a possibility that there will be an allocation of funds that people that are not legalized within the parameters of the legislation, correct? Damn, what happened? Mic check.
I mean, I'm here.
Yeah, I can hear you, MD.
Okay, I don't know where Ricardo went, but I think that's what he was asking. I'm saying there are ways to identify yourself, especially when it comes to emancipation. You got death certificates. You got the 1870 through 1890 census that most people use to basically identify their lineage through emancipation. You have resources that okay, well let me see what you just pulled up here. Creation of the Freedmen's Bureau. Hey, there you go, right there. You know what I'm saying? So there's ways to identify your lineage. It ain't no way no white man can get to that. It just ain't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, Reconstruction was, I agree with Venkat, a horrible time. It was probably worse because the promises through legislation were not kept. That's why reparations is so important, and for Black Americans to advocate it through the legalized historical reference. That's the only way you can do it. And that goes to a specific group of people, and those are Black Americans. That's what it is. From the aspect of who they are. The legal status within itself is freedom. That's just what it is. Can't get around it. And let me say this. I'll never take anybody's blackness away from them, right? So if you claiming to be Black, who am I to not say that you're not? Because I ultimately understand that Black is a racial identification. Ultimately, so I can't take your blackness away from you.
But you just say that you're blacker than us.
Oh my God!
Yes, you did.
I thought you was cooking, Trevor.
No, I'm back. I'm back.
Again, when I self-identify myself as Black, when I view what blackness is, I base it off the culture of being Black. Therefore, through cultivation of my culture, I am blacker than you.
But define your version of culture. What's your definition of it?
My definition of culture is the cultivation where the post logic of the term culture, the cultivation of a way of life based on the surroundings or the means, ours being the disparagement and disenfranchisement, the literal enslavement of the group, the foods that we eat, the music that we created, the clothes, Yeah, hell, the clothes that we wore, the arts that we portrayed through our way of life. That's culture.
But do you see how biblically
that's the same as y'all culture was cultivated?
No, but do you see how biblically when you say you become born again, all things become new, and you become a new person? I'm
not going to abandon. But hey, we're not trying to have the biblical discussion. What I'm saying is,
that's on Thursdays. Even when you're saying that, that's on Thursdays.
Even when you're saying that, I'm not going to abandon the way of life that my people compounded upon through generations. I'm not going to do that. I just can't. Nobody can claim that but me. Nobody.
I mean, I understand the sentiment. You know what I'm saying? But as you can see, our culture in this country is destroying itself to where it won't have nothing to be proud about left. The way it's going.
But whose fault is that?
Well, I mean that's how that depends on how you look at it.
I mean, oh come on, MD. Look at what
that depends on how you look at
it. I mean, come on.
I can't tie myself to the outrageousness of others. I can't do that.
No, but they are taking that. They are taking what you would identify as, and they are corrupting it by the power of media and different platforms of billionaires and trillionaires, and they can literally take what we would hold dear, that we came up through Jim Crow and all of the things that was positive about black people in this country in the past, and they are literally just throwing it in the toilet.
Well, according to people, this country wasn't a racist country, right? So, I mean,
who said that?
Oh, you know who said that?
You know exactly who said that.
You know exactly who said that.
Oh, okay.
Look at what they turned us into. Like, I would have never thought it would have gotten this bad, and I'm not even 50 yet, and I'm like, I can't believe how much it changed since I was a little kid to now. I can't believe this. So
what is that sweat off your back though? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, because remember, culture
is sweat off mine.
A culture is a residual collective. Would you say that?
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that you agree with what Ricardo said about the co-opting of the culture.
Oh, they kidnapped it and they hijacked it.
Who is they?
They kicked us out the car, and we hanging on the car door outside of our own culture, and we're trying to get back into.
Who are they?
I don't know, the plants, like Cat Williams said, the you know what I'm saying, the industry plants all over the place.
Well, I mean, hey, there's money to be made at the end of the day. It's not nobody's fault. It's not nobody's fault that it's being exploited. That don't affect my way of life and the conditioning of my aspect of the way I perceive it.
Basically, you're taking.
Remember, I'm an individual. You got to take that in consideration.
Well, you're not looking at the whole culture. You're looking at the past, and you're ignoring the advancement of what your culture turned into. So the past culture. So what was your cutoff point? What, the 70s, the 80s? What?
I don't have a cutoff point.
So then you accept all of this.
This is America.
How But how many of
is what we do?
Yeah, but that's not something.
So it's not just my culture that's being exploited. Hell, it's everybody.
Y'all got to remember, not only does MD get his definition of blackness from the oppressor, he also has their mindset. MD is very individualistic. He is literally
right.
Well, you know what? They turned us into
about the collective.
They turned you into being an individualist, MD. That's something that's not cultural.
Yeah, but nothing happens from an individual per se. Everything that happens, every advancement that happens, the internet, medicine, technology, all these things that happen with a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's never one.
But
you would never. We would still
is
be
not tied
cavemen.
to the one person. I agree with you, Venkat. I agree with you. I 100% agree.
Hey, y'all don't.
But the the advancement comes through a single idea.
But then
and then it links through like-minded people, and then competition is had. That's how you advance.
Well,
The
that
like-minded
after
people so that
2020,
the
that
focus is
competition is dead. That whole competition fairy tale is dead in the water. Competition is supposed to be supply and demand. When there was a decrease in workers, the pay never went up, the wages never went up. That's all a myth. 2020 unfold a lot of these myths. That's
you dropped the ball.
run
Then you went the socialist route. I ain't with you on that one.
I mean,
Venkat,
if that's the emergency red button we got to push every time something real happens, I guess that's what it's going to be.
Hey, Venkat,
go ahead, Trevor.
Venkat, we already almost an hour and a half in. Move to the next topic so I could, finish.
Well, okay, so the next,
real quick, y'all who think that me and MD don't like each other, that could nothing be further than the truth.
I already know what Trevor's doing
for like a year and a half now.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to put this graphic up before we move on. So this graphic has to do with education and money that's being made. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the graph, right, U.S. immigrants. This is the percentage of adults 25 and older that has a bachelor's degree. So U.S. immigrants are 33%. U.S. born Black population, 22%.
Not surprised.
So when you look at the income, U.S. immigrants, 63,000. U.S. born Black population, 42,000. So, MD, did you want to speak on? Because you're talking about competition, and if we have immigrants coming in, shouldn't that be about competition and outworking people and being better than the next person? Go ahead.
Well, again, this goes back, and like I said, I'm not going to tie economics to what I'm talking about, but the graph that you put up is kind of tied to the social aspect of what we're dealing with. So going back to the source that I put up. Last week. Mm-hmm. Let me give the example. During the New Deal with FDR, when the manifestation of unions came into play through what they call quote unquote equal opportunities and what was it called? I forget the name of the act. I have to go back and pull it up. When the unions were created, whites made such a big deal as far as the advancement of what we perceive to be progressive politics, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of white people didn't roll with it based on where the progressive politics was taking shape, mainly in the northern states, not the South.
And we all know
when blacks started to move, the first migration in the 20s and the 30s, trying to take advantage of New Deal policies, they were blocked based on what they would call neo-Jim Crow ideals. Remember, Jim Crow wasn't in the North, but they were still practicing Jim Crow, i.e. this situation saying that blacks weren't allowed in the union. Through the quota system that got bolstered from FDR as immigration, Jamaicans came into New York. I'm just using New York as an example. A percentage of Jamaicans were allowed to come to New York. They were allowed in the unions. Why was that? Because they didn't view Jamaican. Now I'm talking about the white folk. They didn't view Jamaicans socially the same way that they view white people. I mean, black people.
Mm-hmm. So
blockbusting. Go ahead.
No, so I was gonna say. So do you feel that created a disadvantage for the Black Americans that were here when they brought in other subgroups of Black cultures that were coming in immigrant wise?
Ricardo, I just gave you an example of Jamaican immigrants being allowed in the unions in New York City, and Black Americans weren't. If you don't call that a disadvantage, I don't know what is.
No, because I want to hear you say. So do you feel that, because you already know my stats, but do you feel that created the animosity that we're seeing now? Because it's like
you trying to pull me into that conversation now.
You know I'm going to pull you in because I want
again. I in 2024 I can't do that. I can see or I could understand where a person can have that argument. I'm not, because socially we just not those people. Socially we amalgamated, especially in black culture. I mean, you know, it just is what it is. Everybody want to copy black folk. So I'm not saying that's the same situation here today as it was then. Can you pull the reference and show where there could be animosity? Of course you could. I'm not going to do that.
Well, they only want to follow us socially.
What do you mean?
Like they don't want to follow us in any other area, like economically or
you're right.
Even in our family. They want to follow us because of the
it's cool being black.
Yeah, it's something that's really
I agree with that.
So I mean, I don't know if you would want to claim
and that's not just black immigrants. Hell, that's everybody.
Yeah,
you know
everybody. So, like right now, if you go anywhere in the world, we could bag any woman from any country, pretty much.
I mean, you know what's the comedian name that wrote for Richard Pryor? He said it best. You know, everybody want to be a nigga till it's time to be a nigga.
Paul Mooney.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, So just to wrap up, just to wrap up, there are examples that you can pull to show why there would be resentment. I'm not saying I agree with it, but there are references that clearly show historically. Again, I'm talking about the unionization methods, talking about Jamaican blockbusting in New York. It's a plethora of items that I can pull to show it.
Andy, can you email me that? Can you email me that one with the unions and how
I got you. No problem. I got you. One more thing and we can move on. Muhammad Ali, after he left from the Olympics, he went back to his hometown, Louisville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to go into an I can think they called it like a malt shop back then in downtown Louisville, and it said no Negroes allowed. And he said, the dude told him we don't serve Negroes here. And Muhammad Ali said, well, that's good because I don't need them. And he said right after that altercation happened, African couple went into that same malt shop and was served. And he didn't understand why. He was perplexed. What I'm saying is, despite whether you agree with it or not, there will always be, until we can catch up in terms of our social order, and the only way that can be done is through reparations, we will always be a couple of steps behind socially of any other ethnic group that comes here as immigrants. That's just what it is. It's nothing that you could say or do to change that. And
MD,
then
was that before or after he didn't go to war?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that had to be before. I think he was still Cassius Clay at that time. That was before.
You sure about that?
Hey, if you got the right reference, pull it. Right, I believe it was before because it was right after he won gold in the Olympics.
Well, and the only reason I bring that up is because if they would tell him that they don't serve him after he refused to go to war, then it would be more of a patriotic thing as to why they would serve the Africans versus him.
Trevor, it was Jim Crow, Louisville, Kentucky. It don't matter if he would have went there and won the Purple Heart. It was Jim Crow.
Yep. All right, so we'll move on to another topic. And this next topic will have to be about colorism. Colorism within the black community. From one plight to the next, we have what MD was just explaining, the plight that black Americans would have as far as being exploited or getting less recognition when faced up against an immigrant. We have the dissension between blacks, the different shades and colors. You have people that pass as white because their skin color is really light, so that they could be essentially the house niggas. And you got the field niggas. And that's pretty much where the conversation is, the way different blacks are treated by the status of their skin. Mm-hmm. What are our thoughts about colorism within the black community?
Let me start this off, and I want you to follow me on this, man, because I have something about that colorism, and I think that it's not really colorism. It's about, are you attractive? Like right now, when you
go.
right now when you are an attractive person.
But what is the definition of attractive?
You get privilege. I believe if you're an attractive black person, you go into an interview versus a average looking black person, right? It could be the same skin complexion. The one that looks more attractive, more than likely, is going to come away with the job. These are all signs of privilege, and I think that now obviously they had it more systematic back then, to where it was like black and white, but now we're at a stage where it's almost like, okay, who is more attractive right now? But it depends on where you go, because if it's like a private company and it's a family thing, and you got a whole bunch of white people, it's a white company, historically white, then yeah, they might go with the whatever person, whatever nationality lines up or comes closer. But right now, if you go to a certain organization, whether it be the state, just regular state job, city job, or what I'm saying, federal, whatever, I think, because, they can't use colorism. And even with us, I'll bring it home to us. How we rate each other is how attractive you are. If you're an attractive guy, if you're an attractive girl, our own race, our own people will give privilege and prefer the attractive black person within our own what we call race. But I don't agree with that term or whatever. So what do you guys think about that? I just wanted to add that there, because the whole colorism thing. Now we do rank each other. We do say, oh, this guy, oh, you're South African light skin, this person's light skin, this person's dark skin. But if you're a good looking dark skinned person, I think you still, you're going to be in a ballpark. You're going to be able to compete. I'll leave it there.
Notice how you didn't say like who is giving the the identification of what's looking good or not. Like you never gave that assessment.
No, that I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But right now, the way it's going now, look at what right now men have to have long hair. So you know what I'm saying? Men with long hair is in vogue right now. So it's starting to go away from a more traditional look. Now we're getting more eclectic, more more exciting, and we want to be, hey, look at it, I got dreads, and look at me, my hair is long, and I'm acting feminine, So I think the colorism is starting to be usurped by other type of privileges,
All right, anybody want to expand upon that?
Hey, I got all right on this. I really don't have too much on this, just because when I see colorism, that's not something that I could remember ever being directly affected by. That's more of a thing that I hear from women. And even though I laugh, I could see where Apex absolutely see where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. It's all about attraction at the end of the day. And I think bottom line, when it comes down to the colorism conversation, and speaking of colorism, the Girls That Pour Your Heart Out will be returning February 17th, and that will be on the docket on the season 2 premiere. See how easily I transitioned into that. But so
what about the scenario within the black community where you're a lighter skinned black, you can get bullied, you can get looked at as not quote unquote hard, or whatever the case may be. They get treated a different way in general.
I think again, this comes down to identity crisis. I mean, we grew up together as kids. You and your brother and your sister were always much lighter than me. I don't ever remember your brother. Me and your brother, very, very close friends, grew up together in all the classes together. I don't remember anybody ever looking at him, calling him soft as a light-skinned dude, or vice versa, calling me whatever, being a darker skinned dude. I think you can isolate pockets of that, and a lot of this is glamorized on the TV because that's what they want us to do. They want us to fight with one another and be like, oh, both of you guys are black. Well, not if you let MD tell it, but both of you guys are ethnically both of you guys are ethnically black, but let me put some type of division between you guys. Growing up, we didn't see that growing up. And that could just be me. But growing up, I didn't see that. Like I say, I grew up, and I could use you and your brother as a prime example because we grew up together and you guys are lighter than me. I never did anybody ever call you soft ass light skinned dude? Well, probably because you was bigger than everybody and they probably thought you beat the hell out of them. So maybe that has something to do with it. But no, I don't, just me personally, I think that's something more that women, deal with. You may see the little memes with Prince and everything like that, talking about light skin this and light skin that.
And the stereotype of light-skinned people having attitudes or having to be real aggressive. I mean, there's a lot of
How many people have you heard say that though?
Huh?
How many people have
I've heard a lot of people be he's acting light-skinned again. I mean, that's a thing.
That's something new to me.
Nah, but I don't think it's accurate though. I don't think it's accurate, man. Like I seen
a lot of things aren't accurate.
Plenty of dark-skinned chicks who was crazy. Our women are crazy in this country. They straight crazy, man. They lost their minds. The entitlement is off the freaking meat rack. I mean, 300-pound women think that they are bad.
Christian manosphere.
pretty much.
So what, MD, what's your viewpoint on this?
So again, and like I said, I don't know the dichotomy of I guess you would just say Caribbean, the aspect of any Caribbeans and how they view colorism. I don't know, but I do know historically. Again, see, everything goes back to a historical reference with me. Historically, in this country, the United States of America, colorism has been a topic of discussion, going back to, as far as we know, to the quadroons and the octoroons of the Creole Louisianians. So this is a historical thing for us, meaning Black America. So when we talk about the facet, and we all know where it comes from, these people were fair skinned like the European slave masters. So therefore, they fell in favor, sometimes hell in love or sexual nature with the white man. We know where it comes from.
Most of them get raped though.
Right.
Well, a lot of black women were getting raped by massa.
Right, but again, there was a whole system that was being created. I'm just using an example. There was a whole system being created in Louisiana with the quadroons and the octoroons, to the point where the slave master would be on the plantation half the day with wife, and then the other half he had a whole house set up with his whole quadroon family. So we know where this comes from. If you go back even further in time.
Didn't one of the presidents do that too?
The who now?
Didn't one of the presidents didn't he partake in that too?
Yeah. So you had Sally Hemings,
right.
That it's and I hate to go take Gideon's point, but if you go and look at the history of Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson, he essentially raped Sally Hemings, and also she was 13 at the time. But the way they portray Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson now is like it was a love story.
Of course, the same thing with Pocahontas.
So I hate to concede to Gideon, but I got to do it on that.
But it goes back to the point that I've been saying.
I'm not that bad, man.
it goes to the point that what I've been saying is like it's been put in place. Everything that we see happening now is put in place for a reason, to create dissonance. I don't see the other side going, oh, but I'm more prettier than you because my skin is more whiter, or you know what I mean. It's like you're getting a dissonance based on the structure of what was put to create that kind of I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Not dissonance, but more like it's put in place to actually keep us receding as opposed to progressing more. Because again, it's like I call it the Django, like you said, the house nigger versus the plantation in the field nigger. It's like both sides. One will look at them like, oh, look at that one over there, thinking he's better than me because he's inside, and I'm outside in the sun and heat, being wet and being stung by the mosquitoes and whatnot. So it's like it's the slave master's mentality was always there to be like, okay, well, no matter what, there's always going to be a discourse because one of them is always going to think they're better than the other one. And then why not just facilitate that more by making the skin color a thing where if the more you're more light skinned than the other darkest skin slave
feel,
and
but that's the curse of the Willie Lynch letter. You know what I'm saying?
But why are we still following that to this very day, though? I still don't understand.
Because it's all about social order. Who can leapfrog who? I ain't saying I agree with it, but that's just what it is. And again, you can clearly see an origin based on the disparagement of a people. So even with colorism, you can still trace that back to a reference of Black American experiences.
But I think colorism is weak right now. Right now, if a good-looking black guy or good-looking black girl go into a corporation and they have the same vigor as a average-looking or like a man-faced man.
But colorism is not tied to white people.
One is gonna promote, go up in the ranks, and another one is not.
That's not true. That's not true. Colorism isn't tied. Colorism isn't tied to the perception through white people. Colorism is tied to trying to look white. That's what I'm telling you.
You could try to look white.
It's self-inflicted.
But if you find your look, whatever you want to go for, and you find and you master your look, and it's politically correct at the same time, well, you can say you're trying to look white, but you can find
Africans is dousing their skin with bleach in Africa right now as we speak.
I don't agree with that. No, you're right.
What are we talking about?
Very true. That's very true.
We're talking about Americans, though. Are we talking about Americans?
But they're trying to be American. They're trying to look like what they perceive to be Black American. Do you not understand that?
There are girls at my job that are doing that, me. And it's like
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. But what I'm saying is it's a dichotomy of the perception of what it's the ratchet behavior of Black people. They want to, like, again, you said it best earlier. They want to be us, and even in the negative stuff that we do.
Yeah, ain't that something? But you see, that's because of popularity. It's popularity. It's it's a popularity about it. So all of these things are coming into. These are new forces that are coming into this conversation. That I think we're having this conversation like it was 30 years ago. This is the new way that. So it's not even like colorism is there, but it's fading. As far as Black Americans.
I mean, I agree with that aspect. Colorism ain't as prevalent as it was. It still exists though. Like I said again,
yeah, it's right now it's a punchline. Right now it's almost a punchline, man.
It's a punchline based on the experience. I agree with that.
You are
just like Venkat said, a nigga acting light skinned. That's based on the perception of how we view the dissension between darker and lighter Black folk.
And it's mostly women that are doing it.
I just gave you an example of a whole entire period. It's not just women. It's not. I
don't remember you.
You basing it off of comeliness. I'm not. So it's not just women. There's a whole entire you might as well say sub ethnic group in Louisiana that go live and die by it. All the way up until the Boule and the Divine Nine with the brown paper bag test. It wasn't just AKs doing that. It was the men too.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, because we got a lens of conservative. I guess you would say a conservative aspect of how we view stuff. That's what made you say that, but it's not just women, it's men too.
Hey, check this. I shared this in the group before. I just want to play this this commercial. Let me get your thoughts on this. 1 second here.
Wow.
Yeah. So
there you go.
what's our thoughts on? I mean, that's the way the world is viewing us. I guess that's kind of crazy, man. That's kind of crazy.
We know in Asian in a lot of Asian cultures, dark skin is look, it's frowned upon, even with the darker skinned Asians. You know what I'm saying? So it's a stereotype. He went in Negro, he came out Taekwondo. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that's what it is. But again, colorism, as it pertains to us, is to me a different dichotomy to what other ethnic groups or other races, or how other races view dark-skinned people or black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So I want to switch to another topic. This topic probably a little controversial. All right. So we're gonna go to the LGBT gay community.
Oh boy.
Okay. So with the LGBTQ community, there is a significant difference in the way blacks, I would say Jamaicans, Africans, and so on and so forth, dark-skinned people handle or deal with that community versus other communities like whites or people from Germany, Australia, wherever. Can anyone speak on the difference as far as, because we know, like I've seen like videos and reports from documentaries and whatnot in Jamaica, people getting stoned and killed. Africa, different places in the area. You're known to be that. You're gonna be pretty much killed or harassed and whatnot. So, what is the reasoning? What's the idea or the focus behind how blacks treat that community versus how other ethnic groups do?
So,
hey, real quick, Ricardo, when we're talking about this, don't use the K word, because these AI bots are all.
What's the K word?
You just said killed. Don't use killed.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, don't use killed when you're talking about this community. They put two words together and it's down goes the straight to our society. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. They're protected more than people that look like us.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, Ricardo.
No, I was gonna say, historically speaking, the reason why, and I could only speak I from the Jamaican aspect or point of view of this, because I was born on the island. So when we had the historical rationale in terms of like slavery and all of that, what the slave masters used to do back then to slave to prove a point or to make a point was to then say, all right, if one of the slaves was trying to leave or run away or try to do something to
butt breaking.
Right, the butt breaking, it came from that, and from that time frame up until a certain extent, it, so it,
Ricardo, your audio's glitching.
is it? You can hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah, but it was just glitching a moment ago.
That's weird. Sorry about that. So yeah, the butt breaking was the precursors for why the Jamaican community looked down upon the alphabet community the way they do, and they've been staunch against it for years. That's not to say there's not, the alphabet community on the island. It's just that they're against it for the reason of the historical ties of what it brought about in, I guess, the Black community at the time in Jamaica, and why they were just not going to be standing for it. And don't forget, as well, it's also predominantly kind of historically a Christian, quote unquote, like it has more churches per capita than any other country in the world. So they look at that.
No, I said thank you for saying that.
So there's certain things. I mean, because somebody brought it up the other day to me at work, and I was like, they're like, I don't understand why. And so I'm like, did you look at the historical reasoning, the reasoning behind why Jamaican people would be against it? It's that's the main reason why. So they're like, oh, I didn't know. I said, well, I'm going to send you a whole bunch of information, and then led them to looking at it, and they were like, oh, now that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, it's always been that way. It's just that it's like now you can't try to force that on. That just won't go for it. That's not to say the alphabet community is not on the island, but they're just not going to stand for it because of the historical ties of what led to it from the onset or from the get-go and into now. So that established why that brought about, just to make your point there, Venkat.
So let me ask you a question real quick before anybody else go, Ricardo. So with you saying all of that, if a person is homosexual that live in Jamaica, do we deserve to die?
When it comes to, listen. When it comes to MD, we weren't supposed to use that word either. Damn it.
My bad. Hey, my bad.
Bad. Words we can't use. So if like when it comes to like SA, and we have to use like certain words. If you get what I'm saying, like we gotta, because Google is disgusting these days. So no, you don't deserve to. What word can I use for that? Because the damn bots are gonna
unalive. Let's just say ostracized. Let's just say ostracized. Ostracized. What correct. Whatever.
I don't believe in taking away the honor of somebody when you're not the creator. If you get what I'm saying, what you do in your spare time is up to you. I don't care what you do in your bedroom is up to you. What I don't like is this idea that you could force whatever you're saying, and I should automatically spoon feed me whatever your thought process is, and think I should automatically take it because you said it. That doesn't work for me.
But Ricardo, don't we see that same ideal with Trump supporters or any type of like group or area where they impose their will, they impose their views, they impose everything that they're about onto others, but they don't get killed.
Exactly.
Well, they don't get zeroed out. So that's a hard thing. I just don't. It's kind of like, oh, these people are pro-life, right? And then they zero out the doctors that perform the procedures. Like, if you're pro-life, why was it okay to zero out that doctor? These are contradictions that don't reign any consistency, and it exposes a different truth that's being covered up.
Hey, let me say this, because Venkat tipped on to the tutor. Let me just keep it real. Black people, no matter who it is, they're staunch when it comes to a lot of religion. Now, I'm saying historically, when it comes to a lot of religious aspects on how we view society. That's just what it is. It's more hardcore in some places than others, yes. But when you deal with the United States of America, a place where you have a prime example that other people in the diaspora can look at and say, these group of people fought for civil liberties on the behalf of every American, not just black folk, every American. That includes the LGBT community, whether you like it or not. That's just what it is. When you talk about imposing certain aspects of what they do, you're gonna have to give me a prime example where that's being done, because I'll give you pushback and say that's not the case. As an individualist, I can't step on nobody's toes when it comes to their perception of life. I can't do that.
But do you agree, MD, with the fact that they think that so when they say in because I've heard this a lot from the alphabet community as well, where they think that their strife is the same as a black person going through the racist the events that we went through in history. Do you agree with them in terms of their strife being the same mentality that a black man would have gone through in Jim Crow or pre-dating Jim Crow? Where
I agree that their way of life was looked at in the eyes of a biblical narrative that they weren't able to let's just say invoke their civil liberties. I agree with that. But do I, as far as comparing them to black folks? No, hell no.
Okay, so that's what I was, because I don't believe in that either. I don't think the two are the same. You can't.
But what about? I'm sorry, Ricardo. But what about a black gay person? Because they got the worst of both worlds.
Kind of like James Baldwin, Barrett Rustin, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Like that would be way more difficult because you got. First of all, you can't run away from being black. You see it, especially if you're really dark. You can't hide that. And then on top of that, if you're from the, like Ricardo said, the alphabet community, I mean, that's the toughest road right there. Because neither one is going to be a simple thing. It's like we talk about the black man having a tough time, but technically, wouldn't the black woman be the worst, the lowest part of the totem pole on that? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like there's the full truth is there as far as how people are being treated. I'm similar to MD as far as like I don't give any credence to it's okay to suppress a certain group of people, and as long as it's not me. And it really boggles my mind because black people of all people on this planet, kind of like it boggles my mind with Jewish people that have been through atrocities to perpetuate that in another form.
I know.
Years later, that blows my mind, as does black people not understanding you are all about your rights, your privileges. You just want to be left alone and be able to live your life. And here's a whole other community, and somehow it's okay to do the same thing that the white man did. So these things I just shake my head. I don't understand, and there's no justification that could ever make that okay with me.
Who does that? You do understand it, Venkat. You know, because you know where it comes from. It comes from the biblical narrative. You know that.
Well, wait a minute. Who really wants to? I mean, who wants to discriminate against the alphabet people? Really? Like I think
there's a whole load of them. There's a whole load of them.
I mean, like, what do you mean discriminate? Like right now, if I was to say that they can't force your way on you to make you do something,
but that's not the issue. We're talking about even recently, people not making cakes because you're gay, so I can't make a cake, and that went to the Supreme Court.
That happened a while ago, and I don't think
recently another case like that happened. Another case, yeah. So it's just I just don't get the point behind it. It's like This
I mean,
is the land of the free.
I don't see them. I mean, they got the support by the state in them. Like they can do things that a lot of black people can't do in the state in the law. Like
That's
they have a
good
lot
point.
of privileges.
That's
And
a great point. You want to know why? Let me ask you this: Is your sexual preference, what is that based off of? Or let me give it in basic terms. What is your sexual preference? What is that? Like in layman's terms.
What, a heterosexual, normal? I guess.
I mean, yeah, that's an example. But like, what is it? Legally, what is it?
Normal?
Your identity? I don't know.
It's a status.
It's a status, right? Okay. Now it's a status, but right now, if you accidentally called a he or she by accident, they can get you fired, and then they'll call out discrimination.
Because it's a pronoun.
But this is a new phenomenon, though, right?
Yeah, but
I mean, we're talking about what less
Like,
than.
oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry, sir, ma'am. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm telling your supervisor.
I get what you're saying, man.
I'm like, he discriminated against me. You're gonna call out discrimination, yo?
But
legally,
they are bullying us. They are bullying us right now.
I wouldn't say that. But what the person to call you, they just. But because, like, for instance, if you're doing an announcement and you're saying, "Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen," you can't even say that anymore. You have to say now it's their fellow so and so, because then now it's like you don't want to offend. It's the offensiveness that comes. But then some people don't really know how to address certain things, so you're there getting upset, and you. I just realized that just reading the breaking news that Trump won New Hampshire.
Already?
Yeah, they're
cool.
And all of that. So I'm like, you can't say it's because most people don't really know how to really, you know what I mean? Like they don't really know how to address the community, the alphabet community themselves. That's not to say that you then take that as a mantle and then say, you see this all of them and this, like you can't do that. You're force feeding. Yeah, they're doing the breaking news. So I guess he won. People to change overnight for the sake of you being uncomfortable. It's time to build up to that. So yeah, MD, it seems like he got New Hampshire. So I don't know how Nikki's gonna go forward from there. But yeah,
I just saw it. I think it said 51. Let me check it again. Hold on. But it's only 19. It's only 19% that reported.
53.3 compared to 45.6.
But it was. But look how many. I don't want to get sidetracked. Look how many.
Marie G, that was. I just real quick, MD. Marie G, I just want to reply to Madrid. That wasn't me. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. Go ahead, MD.
Less than 60,000 people have voted.
Yep.
And they already calling it. Yeah.
50% compared to 47% independent. So that's clear cut.
Wow.
But that's only 19% that's reporting though.
Oh, that don't mean that. They were reporting like single digits in the last one, and it was over. It doesn't matter.
At the look how low the turnout is though.
And they don't have weather to blame.
This is lower than Iowa. Yeah, this is lower than Iowa right now.
So I tell you, Donald Trump has some issues. If your own party isn't coming out during your primary, what's going to happen during the main election? The general election, what's going to happen then? How is he going to get people to come up? Well, one thing, Trevor, what's your viewpoint? Been quiet for the most part. I know you got a lot to say on this. What's your view here?
Yes, I do. Hold on for a second. Because it ain't gonna take me longer than 2 minutes. So here we go. Wait, somebody's in the back. Oh no, that's my thing. So the original question was, why do black people frown on the LGBT community? That was the original question. And here's the answer to that. It's just like everything else. Black people in this country and around the world, because I still think they're black, have an identity crisis.
Yes, they do.
They are afraid to face the fact that they could be something that may be shunned against as normal. So when you have a gay son, oh, not my son, I don't want, nope, it's not my son, because they have an identity crisis, because it's easier to be against something and to rail against it than to embrace it and be like, you know what, I may be this. So that's it, identity crisis. And the last thing I'm gonna say, I don't like what y'all doing, and I've heard it a couple of times, is where y'all equate the plight of black people, just everyday struggle, and somehow think is the same as being a member of the community. It's not. Right. They're making the decision to be that way. A lot of these plights that come upon black people that look like me, black people, is forced upon me. That's how things happen. It's victim of circumstance. I'm not waking up and deciding to be poor. I'm not waking up to be deciding to be disenfranchised. They have decided to be that way. So you can't correlate the two plights. You just can't do it. And when people do that, I'm like, my goodness, just stop. Just stop. It's not the same. We're not the same.
I agree with that 100%.
Me too.
Yeah.
The point I was bringing up is that that's what I've been hearing quite often, and I had to address or correct somebody the other day when he said it to me, and I was like, it's not the same. You cannot then say the strife is the same, because it's not. You chose to do that. A typical black person growing up, or when like what I go through on a daily basis wouldn't be the same as yours, because when I walk into the store, immediately somebody is drawing back their bag, or they're automatically zeroing in on me because they think I'm about to do something bad. I have to counteract that by being like a little bit more so-and-so, or just to make them feel comfortable. Or when I go in the elevator, it's the same thing. Like one person's going in the corner because they think, oh, he might have a gun, or he might do this. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm a regular person who's coming in the elevator. But of course, again, it's like, that's the point I was trying to make. So Trevor is 100% right on that one. I don't agree with the sentiment that it's the same strife. It's not. You choose to, and it goes on to the conversation we had last week about Bubba, in Alabama. It's like, you choose to. You don't have to. It's like, why you made that decision. So again, why force that on everybody to say in context that, oh, I'm gonna generalize? It doesn't work. Like, it's not the same.
Well, I'll say this: I'm not gay, but I don't know if it's. I'm saying that because I don't know what a gay person. Does it come from within? They're born that way, like many people have said, or is it a chosen thing, like you guys say?
They're not born.
That's not my place to say that, because I haven't walked that walk. Yeah, but you're making definitive statements on things that is outside of your bounds. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't walk that walk, so I don't know that, and I quite frankly, I'm not qualified to do that. So I give that the respect that is due. I'm not going to just project my opinion onto a circumstance. That doesn't sound wise to me.
I think it goes back to the whole nature versus nurture dynamic. And, some people say that, a lot of them, they had a lot of like abuse and all type of SA type things going on, and they was led down that path because of their upbringing, because of all types of unfortunate events, and they turn out to be like that. A lot of their stories happen to be that, But I think that part of the story goes to nature versus nurture. I mean, me personally, I'm not that either. But I would say that no, that they were nurtured into that by some unfortunate events that take place in their upbringing, and it's really like a travesty that I feel sorry. I feel bad for them, because a mind is it's once your mind starts to tilt like that, man. I mean, it could get really bad, man. And then you can't even think straight. You don't know which way is up. then you start to justify things in your mind. Next thing you know what I'm saying? You could become any type thing. Somebody could talk you, or a group of people or a village could make you do anything. I mean, you could get a young little baby and make him go with chimps, and next thing you know, he's gonna think he's a chimp. So I mean, come on. You know?
I agree. I agree with that to an extent, because you're right. You can be conditioned into a way or an ideology or a routine or a pattern. You can, as a human being. Yes, you can. You can do that, and I agree. But what if it's both? What if there are those that are born that way, feel that way organically? That's just how they feel. And what if there are those that just turned that way? They would just, due to social environment or influence of a group or person.
The other part is
again, Venkat,
it's a food.
Again, Venkat, you
like the
everybody said all of that.
Yeah,
they went to this whole diatribe as to what they think, how it happened, what was the result. What effect does that have on your life?
Exactly,
is what I'm trying to figure out.
Exactly,
it doesn't have an effect. I'm just saying that we was talking about, like, how did it happen, and I said this part, the unfortunate events. We're just trying to break it down. I didn't say has any effect on my life.
So let me ask you this: you use a reference talking about the chimpanzee, right, and Jungle Boy and all that. If can you rehabilitate a person that was raised by chimps? Can you bring them into normalcy?
Well, because chimps are so extreme, probably, yeah. But when it comes to something,
can you bring it? You
know what? That's unfair.
Can you bring into? Oh, it's unfair question. Okay.
Yeah, you know why? Because, like I said, there are no chimp advocates out here. There are nobody coming up to you and say, "Yo, look, it's okay for you to be chimp," and then you have a whole support.
If enough of them was raised by chimps, I'm pretty sure there would be.
No, but it hasn't happened. That they protect them. So like the whole world's gonna tell them, like, nah, man, I can't be Tarzan out here. Yeah, I gotta grow up. You know what I'm saying? But now when you got a support structure and these people these people are supported on high, somebody's gonna go to them and say, "You're fine just the way you are, boo." And then next thing you know, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, screw these people. I ain't got the," and then bang, they got gassed up.
So the question would be, are they fine just the way they are? Yes or no?
Well, according to natural selection, no.
According to natural selection, no.
Yes, that's right. They can't reproduce. So that right there is a testimony in itself.
Well, why can't they?
Because it's not natural. They can't reproduce. That right there is case closed.
The Romans reproduced through status and they were screwing little boy. I don't understand like what.
But okay, so that's probably the
it's not blessed. That way is not blessed. It's cursed. You get diseases, you get all types of stuff.
Well, you're using the religious point of view, but what about the scientific point of view? Do you have X and Y chromosomes and all of that? You could use that as an argument, MD. You could use that, but you're using the religion, Gideon. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can't have babies. That's a fact. You can't reproduce. That's a fact.
Because the way I look at it is just something that people want to do. I don't look at it as being born or
no, but you just ask the question though.
I'm looking at it as debauchery. And
it is debauchery. It is debauchery, but the proof
and you're free to be debaucherous.
Yeah, that's fine. But the proof is you can't reproduce. That's the evidence that's in the universe, that's in nature.
That's scientific.
Okay. Yes, it is scientific.
Right.
You're absolutely correct. But can I not turn around and reproduce with a woman?
Sure.
So what are we talking about?
Because that, you know what, that means you got to straighten up. You got to get right. And then,
no, it don't. That's not true.
I get what MD is saying.
I just gave you the examples of the Romans.
No, you can reproduce with a woman, but then you cannot.
Then you
cannot
go back
reproduce
to swinging
in the
the
way
back.
that you want. You can't reproduce in the way that you want. You got to go back to the original thing, and then
I don't think reproduction work like that. All you got to do is mount and do your thing and leave.
Yeah.
You said, but do you think?
And then now there's somebody else in your union. So like, okay, you got two fathers. You got two fathers, but
You
then there's a mother.
see how I took it back to the Bible, Venkat? Ricardo, this is exactly what I'm talking. No matter which way you look at it, what corner you turn, it's always gonna go back.
Well, hey,
to the book, it's always gonna go back. I don't care how you look.
If you cannot reproduce like that, that means something. That hurts them. They're like, "Dag, man."
It's not about the science of it's not. I just gave you the example.
It is. I think it is.
I just gave you the example.
No, you just said that you could go and do all this. You got to do all this extra stuff that wasn't meant to be. You have to go and do all this and that. I got to go to this lady and then go back to my what's up with all of that? These are all compromises.
But scientifically, did it get done? Yes or no? Scientifically, did it get done?
Did it get done with the person you wanted to have it done with? No.
What did that got to do with science?
MD, because the two people, their DNA is not contributing to the new life.
I'll just say this: there's X and Y chromosomes, and then there's
correct.
To put that into context, if it's kind of like watching Dr. Phil one day when there was a guest that came on and the person was trans, I believe, and he was going on and on about why can't I say that I was so and so, and the scientist was like, because you don't have X and Y chromosomes, that's why you're not that particular gender. But you're trying to dissect again. As a scientist will say, you do not have X and Y chromosomes.
Well, that's a different argument, though.
But that's what I'm saying.
We weren't talking about that. We was talking about reproduction.
No, I got you. But that's what I was saying. If you were arguing that one, I could get it. But if you're arguing the religious side, then that's a completely different context.
Well, not even the religious side. Again, people be flaming and have kids all the time. What's her name? The brat pregnant as we speak.
No, you cannot have kids with the person that you love. Your DNA.
What's scientific about that?
Right now,
when we talk about science, we talking about reproduction.
No, reproduction with the people science, that right? You love. It's like,
I ain't never seen no science book that said that.
No, who you reproduce with is supposed to matter.
I've never seen no textbook explaining that concept to me.
So that's just not a basic principle about who you reproduce with.
Scientifically, it's not. Y'all brought up science. Y'all brought up science. I didn't.
Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you, like, it doesn't matter. This has a regular principle. You don't have to attach a title to it. It's a regular principle. You can't reproduce with who you want to reproduce. You cannot split somebody's chromosomes with the person that you want to split the chromosomes with. Come on.
Well,
hey, MD, let me ask you something real quick. Because I believe a lot of this you playing a character. I just really feel you playing a character in a lot of this. What about, is there anything in your life, anything in your day-to-day that you let your morality lead you versus everything we ask you, everything that's going on? You got to make it political. Like if it's not a political name for it, then it's just it don't matter. Is there anything in your life that your morals lead you on that you can look at something and be like, it's just not right?
MD, what happened?
Believe in morality.
MD, what happened?
I don't.
What happened to you, MD?
Wait, you said
what you mean? What happened?
You
I
said
don't believe in morality.
I
believe morality is manufactured. I don't believe in morality.
So hey man, this wasn't you. Wasn't you leaning toward the Israelites back in the day?
Back in the day, yeah.
But this the guy that get his definition of blackness from the white people. This don't surprise me. This don't surprise me.
What happened, MD?
Again, I don't believe in morality. I believe that's something that
don't surprise me at all, man. MD,
I'm surprised that MD say you don't believe in morality.
It's nothing innate in a human being that tells you what to do. It's just not.
You know what I find funny, and
you don't have a conscience.
Hold on, because this is what I find funny. This is what I find funny, especially to the whole. I feel like I was born this way. Blah blah blah. If I could say right now, like, boy, you know, I'm a millionaire. I feel like I'm a millionaire. I feel like I'm this. I feel like I'm the best looking man in the world. And everybody will shut me down. But the minute a man says that he feel like he a woman, he's applauded. Again,
I didn't say that.
Again, it's just another thing to destroy our community. That's all it is. Look
there
at
you go.
it.
I never said that. You ain't gonna tie me down with that. I never said that.
Well, I'm talking in general now, just because we talk about the whole is okay. Oh, I can't say if somebody feels like they're this. Well, you know what? Let me ask you something. If you're taking your daughter to the bathroom and a man is coming out of that bathroom that you're taking your daughter in, how are you going to feel? Or are you going to tell me, well, politically he could go in there?
No.
Get out of here.
No.
Get out of here with that.
And you're not going to MD. You know,
get out of here with that bull crap, man. At some point, you just got to be like, you know what? Hey, damn all this political rhetoric that I believe that I think that I believe in. Right is right. I'm not going to have my little girl going in the bathroom that a man feels like just because he woke up one morning and thinks he wants to be a woman, he could go in and use. That's ridiculous.
Hey, I'll say this to that. You know, if I'm giving any pushback, this is the pushback I'm gonna give. Show me the law that says that that's possible.
MD, they're doing it in Targets here where I live. They're doing it now.
Prove it. That's all I'm saying. Prove it.
MD, I could go to Wilton Manors, the Target that's in Wilton Manors, and it's a bathroom that men and women could use.
What does it say on it? What does it say on it?
This ain't something I'm making up.
I'm about to get you. What does it say on it?
Because you're gonna say it says unisex. So what? Why you had a man bathroom, you had a woman bathroom, and now all of a sudden, because some people raise the stink, now you want to be like, I'm gonna still have the man bathroom and I'm gonna still have the woman bathroom, but now I'm gonna throw a unisex bathroom in the middle. Just
wait a minute. Do you think that those people? Do you think that those people?
Is that a family bathroom?
Changed that? Wait a minute. Do you think that those people? You think that those people actually changed that? Or it was some other people with a more nefarious agenda that decided to give these people this type of power?
Is nefarious ways. That's all it is, man. Y'all be so sugar coating and dancing around everything. Sometimes you just got to say what's wrong is wrong, because it's funny.
But you asked,
it's funny when I bring it.
Trevor.
But okay, let me bring it home, because you got boys and you got sons. How would you feel if your young son's going in the bathroom and random cougar is coming out of there? You gonna tell them, hey, don't do that, correct? Because you don't have daughters, so I'm gonna put it on your sons. You're gonna be like, no, that's not going down, correct?
I'm gonna say, why did you go in the unisex bathroom?
You said
no,
you're killing yourself, Trevor. You're killing yourself.
Where I'm at right now, there is no unisex bathroom. It's just the men's bathroom and the women's bathroom, and the woman could go in the men and the men could go in the women's. So there is no safe.
I ain't seen that.
Right, I work at
MD, you right in the middle of all of this, though. You in the hot spot for all this. Come on, man.
Yeah, and y'all come from other places coming to my city.
Hey, I'm fine.
Yeah, you're right.
All right,
but again, we don't got that situation here, so I got to go off what other people tell them.
Go and wrap it up, Venkat. Go and wrap it up.
All right, so we're gonna do the final thing tonight, which is gonna be lame duck session. So we're about to get in order right now with the lame duck session, and we'll do it on the other end.
Ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
Tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
A Republican lawmaker in the state of Kentucky has sponsored legislation that would no longer make it illegal for anyone in the state of Kentucky to have sex with their first cousin.
Kentucky lawmaker and former Survivor winner, Representative Nick Wilson, has filed a bill that would remove the first cousin clause from Kentucky's incest law. House Bill 269 would remove first cousins from the list of familial relationships, meaning it would no longer be illegal to have sexual contact with those family members.
The winner of Survivor, David.
And he has decided that the best use of his power in the state of Kentucky State House is to say, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if we could all just have sex with our cousins, you know, without having to go to jail for it, right? Am I right? So he's put forward legislation. Let me read this. It would strike first cousin from the list of familial relationships.
Stunning reminder of the sorts of issues that are priorities for a Republican Party that is in shambles. Sex with your first cousin. This is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. A Kentucky Republican has proposed a bill which would legalize sex with your first cousin with whom one shares 1/8 of their DNA. Newsweek reports a Kentucky Republican introduced legislation that would amend the state's law. We need to change the law so a person who had sex with their first cousin would no longer be criminally liable for incest before withdrawing it and claiming an error was made during the drafting process. This is House Bill 269, which State Representative Nick Wilson sponsored. According to the Kentucky General Assembly website, it would have struck, quote, first cousin from the list of familial relationships defined as unlawful incest in the state. In a statement sent to Newsweek, Wilson described it as a, quote, mistake. I don't know what that means. In a wider bill intended to extend legal protection against incest, which he withdrew and refiled, leaving the first cousin reference in place. This is all strange enough. Even stranger is that this guy, Nick Wilson, won the 37th season of the CBS reality show Survivor in 2018. Make of this what you will. He later ran unopposed for the 82nd district of the Kentucky House after Republican incumbent Regina Huff retired.
So not only does Representative Wilson want you to be able to have sex with your cousin, but he also says, well, if you have other incest, we're going to reduce, the level of a crime that is, unless they're underage, under 12. So you could have sex with a 13-year-old family member, and that's not going to be as bad as if you have sex with a 12-year-old. Now, if you ask me that you probably like 18 would have been a good age, or just not sponsoring the legislation at all. You look at Kentucky, folks. Kentucky has one of the worst poverty rates in the country. They have the worst health in the country, highest rates of cancer in the country. The economy is in shambles. The unemployment rate is well above the national average. Kentucky has so many problems, and I promise you, none of those is that we can't fuck our cousins, right? That's not a thing. That should not be at the top of your list of priorities. You should be thinking, okay, how do we get the economy working? How do we get health care for our people who are dying at an alarming rate from cancer, from all the pollution that we have in the state? How do we clean up the pollution? Nope. Mr. Wilson says, I want to have sex with her, but I don't want to go to jail. Now
All right. There he is. There he is right there. That's him. Put the spotlight on Mr. Nick Wilson, representative out of Kentucky. All right. So what do we think about our lame duck, number 21? And we'll start with Trevor, because he's normally not up here. So let's start with Trevor tonight, and we'll work our way down.
Again, this is what's wrong with people on a whole. When you allow one thing, when you make it legal to do some of the things that we've been talking about earlier, then you open Pandora's box. You open the door for things like this to pass. You open the door for people to take the word, pedo off of the books. This is the problem that you create when you open one door, then you allow the floodgates to come out, and then you have issues like this. But I guess I really want to hear what MD has to say about this, because this will never make it in the law. So let's just not kid ourselves with that. At least I hope it would never make it in the law. But these
are Republicans. They find ways to make it in the law.
In the event that this does get made into law, I want to hear what MD would have to say about this, because if everything he does is to the letter of the law, and the only thing he follows is to the letter of the law, what happens when this is made law? That's my question to you. This our rapid fire round. What's our what happens if this is made law?
Hypothetically speaking.
All right, MD. Floor is yours.
So everybody deferred to me, huh? Okay, that's cool. This is what I'll say about it. I've been to Eastern Kentucky. It borders West Virginia, right? It's Appalachia. It's an isolated place. It's part of the Appalachian culture because of their isolation.
To be horny.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find reason, and don't try to, please don't try to top me in there. You know what I'm saying? But Trevor asked me to do something, and I'm gonna attempt to do it. Because of the isolation of that particular region, Eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, that area, it's commonly known that you have a incest problem in that area. Let's just say it that way. I can only assume that this legislator, Nick Wilson, is trying to basically alleviate a problem in which people are being arrested for incest in said region. And that's his solution. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. But I'm trying to put two and two together. That's all I'm trying to do. I mean, maybe he have an infatuation with it, because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it is an issue in that particular region. So I mean, if we gonna try to understand it and try to basically see what the viewpoint is, I see it. Do it make it right? No, it don't make it right.
What makes it not right though, MD?
Because there's a whole slew of genetic deterioration that can happen. That's what don't make it right.
But you said you don't stand for morals. So how morally
genetic deterioration ain't moral. Don't do that.
It's not moral. He gonna say
don't do that.
Moral.
No, but that's what you said though. MDC don't
do that. Don't do that.
Wait a minute.
It's not moral.
It's the same thing of two LGBT BBQ people that can't have babies with each other.
BBQ, hashtag BBQ.
They can't have babies though. Gideon, that's the whole.
Yeah, I know, and that's the evidence of that not being right.
No, it's not. They not having genetically deformed children.
Well, they're not, but they're not having kids at all with each other.
Exactly. That's a good thing.
Well, and also as a sign that it is not blessed.
Okay, bet.
Men and women,
I can see.
a holy matrimony is blessed by God, and the evidence of that is the fruits of their them becoming one flesh.
So is that genetically formed child? Is that a blessing?
A genetically deformed child is better than no child at all.
Oh my God!
And what I mean by that is you can't even have one. It's not even an option.
I think we need to go back to the days of 300 where they were just throwing the deformed people over the cliff. I mean, we're supposed to want quality over quantity up in here, man. I mean, we're making Hitler look good right now. I mean, come on. It's supposed to be a higher standard, but I digress.
Oh man.
Oof.
Wait, hold on, because I don't want
leave that one alone.
No, but I don't want to get because Maria G saying something and I don't want to misconstrue. So I believe all children are a blessing, and when we had my daughter, there was a strong possibility that they said that she was probably going to have some type of deformity because of how early she was born. Thank God that nothing happened, but we would have loved her regardless. What I'm saying is, if you have kids with your cousin, how could that be a blessing though?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't. Yeah, I don't want nobody to misconstrue what I said.
I want to make sure.
I wasn't saying that if two people get together and unfortunately, if there's a defect in the child, that's not. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
I'm saying is if you screw your cousin, knowing that it's a high probability that child is gonna have a genetic defect.
You're right, in the deep.
Like that. That's an issue.
Having flipper kids coming out here looking like dolphins.
And that therein is the judgment of that.
Your heels have eyes.
So I mean,
therein is the judgment.
Apex, they wouldn't even be allowed in the congregation. You know that.
Yeah. But the judgment is also in nature. By one way or another, or any way you want to say it, it's a judgment. Genetic deterioration is a judgment to that. That means that the nature says that it's wrong.
What I don't understand is that a Republican that's pushing policies
that's the part that
is trying to fix a problem by ignoring the problem and making it easier for the problem to occur.
The party of family values, by the way.
And week after week, we keep seeing.
Well, it's in the family, Ricardo. So
Oh Lord, God, yeah. I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, this guy is actually, and when he got called out for it, he was like, "Oh, that was a mistake."
Right.
I didn't know you guys were going to cover this.
With all the problems that Kentucky has, and I still don't understand how Mitch McConnell, to this very day, nobody's kicking him out. It must be the money, because I still don't get it. With all the problems that Kentucky has, and especially in the Appalachian region, because most people who don't know about the Appalachian region, I would encourage you to read up or do some research, because there's so much about that region. It's probably one of the poorest parts of the United States in terms of economical value. With that being stated, I get it. You have nothing better to do is probably if there's like one Walmart in that one particular region, that's all where everybody's gonna congregate and go to. You mean to tell me there's nothing better? You can't pick up a book and read, or you're thinking about having sex with your cousins? I mean, this is what we're coming down to now. Really, Republican Party? Like that's the legislation that you're trying to push, is to try to find ways to maneuver around having sex with your first cousin. It doesn't matter if it's first, second, third, or fourth. It's your cousin. Why would you want to do that? Why? There's other things you could do. I mean,
there's nobody else around.
Lord have mercy. Then leave.
I'm serious.
Then leave.
How you gonna start walking?
Bubba last week. You could choose to leave Alabama. Why are you still sitting there to subject yourself to going through all of that? Why not leave? Because if you're gonna say, "Oh well, there's nothing to do," leave. You don't have to be circumstantial wise. Stay there to be subjected to that. You could move. But then
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I know what you're gonna say. Like, how are you gonna find the means to like leave and all of that? But I mean, the point is, you have options. Is what I'm saying.
Hey, it's a documentary on YouTube. I believe it's still on YouTube. It follows this family in Odd, West Virginia. That's the name of the city, Odd, literally. And it's nobody around, and it's an incest family. Nobody around for miles. They don't have, like I said, the poorest of the poor. They don't got no transportation. They ain't got nothing, literally nothing. And so what they've been doing for generations upon generation is screwing each other.
Lord.
And go look it up. It's damn, what it's called. It's he does like a lot of the underbelly, something like that. It's Odd, West Virginia.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's the white underbelly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
And the fan is nobody within miles of them people.
Yeah,
in
I saw
Appalachia.
that. Yeah.
They have no means of transportation, no job, nothing.
So you just
no potable water, no electricity.
As bad as things in the black community, there's some white communities that make you be like, damn, that's an upgrade. The ghetto.
Lord.
So, should I subscribe to them? The white underbelly?
Hey, they show a lot of like crazy white people stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It says soft white underbelly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, soft white. Yeah, well,
I'm gonna subscribe. I don't want to get no crazy crap on.
As a matter of fact, the dad, I don't want to call him the progenitor, but their dad, he was actually arrested for said incest.
Lord.
So if I'm gonna play devil's advocate, just for a second, if I'm gonna play devil's advocate, I'm assuming that the framework or the thought process of coming up with that piece of legislation was to keep people from being arrested for said crime based on their living condition. You know what I'm saying?
But why
That's just me playing devil's advocate.
All right, so if we're gonna play a devil's advocate here, why is the government not going in to correct that? That's just the same thing like when you had the uptick in teen pregnancies in the 90s. What was it that they went in and did? Or we're gonna give sex education classes, or we're gonna give them condoms, or we're gonna give them contraceptives, or we're gonna give them, so they could easily go into Kentucky and fix or curtail that. Heck, you could have done what the British did with Australia, send the hookers and the prisoners to from Great Britain to Australia and let them colonize, let them sit there and find things to do. It's the same thing. You give them options. Why then you're gonna create a legislation now to then, because then it is a crime in this country. There's no way the Supreme Court made that clear. You're just not gonna be able to bypass or curtail that with a law. I'm sure SCOTUS would have knocked it down. And the same thing Trevor said, we're giving credence to it, but I just don't see it passing, not with the religious aspect that we have with this country. Just give options. It's like, that's crazy. That is absolutely mind-boggling to me that you have nothing better to do but to say, I'm going to pass legislation to try to stop or people being arrested because they're having sex with family members. You have nothing better to read a goddamn book. For crying out loud, you have options. You have plenty of options.
Just sit there and die, huh? You good?
Die.
Hey, it is what it is. Hey, I agree with you. I ain't saying it's right.
And don't get me wrong. Of course, if you have nothing to do, you're gonna be idle. So that's the next best thing you're gonna do is, you're looking kind of mad. And I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying the mindset is there. But it's just crazy that there's so much things that this government can do to help these people in the Appalachians Mountains. And again, why do you have Mitch McConnell and all these people that they keep electing? Is it the illiteracy rate is that bad that people can't go out and vote for better options out there? Because Mitch McConnell keeps going up every single election cycle and he's not doing nothing for his state, but then his pockets keeps getting more and more filled with capital. So I'm confused by this. I really am. It just doesn't make any sense, but this is the United States of America we live in, right? This is what I'm talking about.
Just think, speaking of Appalachia, right? Just think. At one time, this was one of the most innovative places in terms of industry in the country with coal, right? then all of a sudden, just on a drop of a dime, it just stopped. You know what I'm saying?
Because of corporations.
Hey, I agree with you. I agree with
That's
you.
what happened. That's what happened to Detroit. GM decided they're gonna pick up and leave, and it destroyed the entire area. That's why companies shouldn't have as much power as they do. They need to be kept in check. They should not be able to have that amount of influence in an area that if they pick up and leave, the whole damn thing crumbles.
Oh boy, here you go.
Well, I mean,
I agree. I agree with that sentiment.
If you can't see that.
But yeah, you're right. These corporations, but you have to understand how the corporations were propped up. They were propped up through government, and that's the issue. So I agree with you. On that aspect,
the government that has people that have interests of the corporations go into government to make that happen. You got to have the right people in the government to make government run right. So if we concede the government every year and just let the dumbasses in, they're going to do the dumbass things that they do.
So your issue is not that the government propped the industry up. Your issue is the wrong people in government propped the industry up.
No, I'm not. You're trying to twist something that's not even there. I don't want them to be propped up. I just feel if we had better minds in government, that we would make better decisions. I think we should invest in education over friggin' prisons and stuff like that. I don't understand why our priorities is not to strengthen and bring up young people to be able to have the innovation to compete against the other people in the world. Like we're behind everywhere.
Because they can go on YouTube and make 10 times more than a person with a master's degree can do. Hey Venkat, real quick, let me close out real quick because I gotta get out of here. I gotta go do something. Hey, fantastic show tonight, man. I always love whenever I could come by Tape Fist Politics, the best political show on YouTube. Again, I'm still waiting for somebody to find me a show that's better anywhere. Like I said, there is a slight programming change this week. The debate that we were going to have this Thursday with Stacey Mobley and Wayne Smith has been postponed till next Friday. Something came up, had to reschedule it. So that's going to be next Friday at 7 p.m. Also, Wrestling with Reality tomorrow night. I scheduled it for 6:30. Which will give Venkat time to get home because we have to talk about this new TV deal with the WWE, and I don't want to get too far in without him on there. So MD, that should give you time to get settled by 6:30. And there are some matches that I do want to talk about that happened during the week because I thought this was another great week of wrestling. And I am going to SmackDown this week, so I will probably be doing some lives from there. So y'all look forward to that. But again, man, fantastic show. Hey, y'all already know me and MD got no issues, man. We've been doing this for over a year. It's just what it is. I just think the Tape Fist Politics crew sometimes is too easy on them. They just let them go off and they don't ever call him on none of the shit that he's saying. So that's why every now and then I got to come up here and be like, hey, just what's up, whatever. But and shout out to Apex for coming on. Yeah, Apex only, and I figured it was you, but only reason I was hesitant is just because I've been getting some ridiculous message, and somebody said that some people said that they were going to come on. So that's why I had to. You got to show your face because that's how you call the cowards out.
Trevor, it shouldn't be no issue, man. I bestowed upon you the title of honorary black person. Like, what else you want?
Oh, Lord.
I kid.
Honorary. Hey, and we gotta do this again just because there were so many things that we didn't touch because I still MD still has to show me how come everybody else could work together. The Arabs, the Chinamen could work together. But the black people always got all the division, so we still got to, do that.
Yeah, we still got to do that because I'm saying that they, it's small clusters of them that work together. It ain't like they just one conglomerate of people working together. That ain't how it works. And I would argue that the way they work together is individualism. I can make that argument.
Yeah, we'll have to touch on that one on another night. But yeah, man, fantastic show, fella. Hey, Venkat, I erased that one show that you went in by accident, so you're gonna have to reschedule it.
Yeah, no problem. I got you.
Yeah. So again, man, fantastic show, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Y'all make sure and hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Tune in to Wrestling with Reality tomorrow at 6:35 p.m. We got a loaded show because we're going to talk about somebody making billions of dollars that Venkat agrees with. So I'm out of here, man. Peace, fellas.
Peace.
All right. So we'll give our closeout. So, Ricardo, why don't you do your closeout now?
All right, so great show. This episode of Tape Fist will have to continue because there's a lot of stuff we didn't really touch on. And no, I Trev, I get what you're saying, but we don't really. I don't think we give. Sometimes we kind of do give you a pass or MD, but it's just that going forward with this when we touch on certain things, I think you probably might not get off that much easy because I'm noticing now that you always play in the middle, so I'm going to try to drag you out of the middle just to get on your talking points. But great show. It was fantastic getting everybody up on the panel, except we're missing Sir Others. Hopefully you're all well and dandy, twin. Hope all is well, and look forward to the next Tape Fist Politics episode because we have a lot to talk about now going forward with Miss. I don't think this country was predicated on racism and how she did tonight in New Hampshire. So great show, and look forward to it the next week.
Okay. Next week's show is going to be episode 19, Obama versus Trump versus Biden. We'll also have updates on the primary that happened tonight. So we'll be here next week with that. As we continue, we'll have Gideon give his closeout.
I think he left. I think he did.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
I didn't see his avatar up there no more.
all right. So then we'll go back to MD.
Hey, great show. Again, I was missing Mike on this one because that's who I was prepared for. I was ready to do battle. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, it would have been good to have Mike on.
So yeah, man. All wishing him the best, and we gonna revisit this. We definitely gonna revisit this because, like I said, it's different angles that you can take with this situation. Again, let me reiterate what I said prior. I can't take nobody's blackness away from them. All I can do is describe blackness in such a way that self-identifies me. You have the right to do the same. I never take that away from you. Because at the end of the day, it's a construct. That's what it is. And until we understand that, it's gonna be a hamster wheel. You know what I'm saying? Looking forward to the next week's show. Again, I'm about to dive in and see like what's what as far as the numbers with the New Hampshire primary. Because what I'm seeing right now, like this, it goes back to me saying that I'm the political prophet amongst men. I said before, this will be one of the lowest turnouts in election history. I'm not saying the lowest, but one of them. And these primaries are showing you just that. We had an excuse for Iowa. If this turns out to be in that same ilk, then that pretty much lets you know how people view the current candidates that we have right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
And not only that, I want to just add a final point too as well. We're all black, but no, that's not the point. I was gonna say that the independents, 47% of independents came out and vote for the both parties, not both parties, but both affiliates for the win. So there's the only 3% were out. So it goes to show that it is a low turnout, and not only that, there's people out there trying to sabotage the win as well, MD. Because there's a lot of people that I heard out today that saying, "Oh, I'm not going to vote. I don't like Nikki and I don't like Trump. Somebody's just going to go ahead and vote for Christie, even though he's no longer in the race." And
I saw that.
So it's like crazy, but that's. I guess that's what we're gonna have to look forward to. Is a lot of sabotaging going on, a whole bunch of nonsense that don't make sense. This is what it is. Sucks.
Yeah, I saw that. That again. If the goal is to have the best candidate, or Or hell, let's just say if the goal is to not have Trump, like what are we doing? You know what I mean? What are we doing? Hell, I saw something. I saw something saying that a lot of Democrats are actually hoping for Trump to get the nomination because according to the polls, it's a high probability that Biden beats Trump again.
Of course.
It's not that with the polls with Nikki Haley.
Venkat last year, yep.
So again, it just shows the stupidity of a lot of these MAGA cult members. That to me, that's what it shows. You know what I mean? But hey, who am I? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm a policy driven voter. I'm saying from a right wing perspective, I can get whatever policies that I deem appropriate out of either candidate. So logically, I would say to stop all the foolishness, stop all the bad faith rhetoric that's going on amongst the Republicans, let's squash it right here and now.
Yeah.
Like you have the power to do that, but cult of personality is a powerful thing, man.
We've never seen this before, MD. Remember, the Republican Party is usually we're seeing infighting, and that's not normal for a party like that, like the Republican Party that we knew of before predating Trump. So I don't know how that's going to work, but
we'll see.
Don't.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all that you're saying there, MD. And the writing, you could see it on the wall. You can see it on the wall. It's going to be a real situation for the Republican Party because Donald Trump, even when it was at the worst, the economy at that time, and people were fed up, and they just normally just vote the opposite of what they have, which is a horrible strategy, to be honest. Even with all that being said, he was up by 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. I mean, he should have ran up 15, 20 points if it was that bad, if it was really that big of an issue. And it clearly wasn't. I always looked at him like, if he's 5 points or less and all these bad things in the economy are happening, and he's only down 4, 5 or less points. Exactly. So I knew he was in trouble. And now the economy turned around.
Exactly. Hey, Venkat, I had somebody argue me down yesterday. Argue me down about the fact that the NASDAQ and the Dow hit record highs yesterday.
Yeah.
Never before done. What give me or pinpoint the exact situation in which the economy is bad and justify it voting for Trump. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I mean, hell, it's certain parameters that I can see in which I say from a right-wing aspect that I can pinpoint something, but just saying the economy is not doing it. What about the economy? What exactly are you expressing your grievances about? I need to know. I'm not hearing none of that from nobody.
Right, they just make it up. You just got to make up something. Yeah.
Gas. What about gas is the problem? Tell me what it is. No, gas. Economy.
Not the gas.
Election. Voter election interference. I'm like, bro, like you gotta give me something to work with here.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then we can have a conversation. Until then, you doing what? Nigga babbling.
And let's not even ignore the cognitive issues that not Biden but Trump is having. Calling Nikki Haley when he meant Pelosi.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. Oh my God. He's having so many of those moments lately. Well, it's been going on, but
it's been going
my goodness.
Been ignoring it.
So, you can't make this statement that, Biden mentally and physically just can't be president. And he looks really, really suspect at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know what is in his favor. The 91 counts, that was always a hard sell. You can't be in court and facing criminal charges, running for president, and think that's a good look. If your followers are donating, hey, that's your dumbass followers. But in a general election, How is that going to sell to the average American person that isn't following politics on a day-to-day basis? They just want to just get by. When they look, oh wait, the criminal is running, and then this guy that's old is running. They're not going to. That's not a selling point. Having crimes is not a selling point. You're not running for the leader of the Crips.
Venkat, according to him, the woman was not attractive. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. He's a convicted rapist. The guy is a convicted rapist. My God. Anyway, it looks like this might be a record short show, but whatever. We'll have a good time. It's going to be Obama versus Trump versus Biden, and we'll just have a little back and forth. I mean, but to be fair, everybody has something bad on their resume. You can't touch that seat without having a negative. But you got to look at the totality of the situation and what have you achieved, and that's what we'll look at next week.
We did Obama versus Trump last time, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So this
should be a good one. This should be a good one.
Yeah. All right. So we're about to sign out here. For my colleagues, MD Ricardo, got Mike. Wishing Mike well on his situation. Like to thank Mr. Straight Talk, Trevor. Thank Gideon for being on the panel. It was excellent to have him on here. It was great. Hopefully we'll see him more in the future. Shout out to Maria G. Shout out to Bones. Earlier in the chat, we had Cliff. This is the episode 19 is next week. 18 we just had. And we'll see you guys next week for episode 19, Obama versus Trump versus Biden. And until then, peace.
Peace on out.
Peace, y'all.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.